Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're back on the streams of the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club here on a Wednesday night. We're going radical racing again for the first time tonight of 2 races. Joining me in the booth is Daniel Saar. Before we come across to you, our location is Long Beach, California. Have a look at those pictures on your streams. Radical racing around a street track. Can we get any better than that? We are currently into qualifying. We'll bring you all the information in qualifying very shortly. But before we bring you up where the drivers are in qualifying, we'll go through your sponsors. Of course, you can see Lobesy Racing up the top there, Waste Options, Orbic, loginsystems.com, Player One, Sim Gear, M-Wave. And Daniel, mate, I'm excited for this one. Have a look at this. We are going radical racing for the first of 2 races tonight, and we are at a street track. My name's Aidan Schultz. As you can see there, we'll go through the information tonight. So configuration is the full configuration. As I've said, we are at Long Beach in the USA. The track length is 3.14 kilometers, 19 degrees Celsius is the track temp, and we're at an altitude of 3 meters. Sorry, just trying to catch up there. So we're in qualifying at the moment, and we're about to jump onto live pictures so we can show you where your favourite drivers are in the race or in the qualifying session at the moment. So on board there, Brett Barker currently setting the pace. So he's gone around in a 1:14.841, just being hit by Braden Sagatser, if you don't mind. And he's gone up into first position with a 1:14.685. But while these guys go through qualifying, Daniel, I did segue into you, mate. Good evening to you at Long Beach in the Radicals. We've got a long night in the booth. We are going to go across into the GT4s at Phillip Island after this one, as Brett Barker has a little bit of an incident there. Mate, looking forward to the Radicals here around what is a little bit of a concrete jungle.
Yeah, thanks very much, Aidan. So, yes, we are here at Long Beach Street Circuit in America. Very famous circuit, of course, due to its, as you eloquently put it, the concrete jungle style track. And, of course, the Dolphin Fountain centerpiece. Home to a lot of American series. Most famous, of course, for IndyCar and the kart series back in the 90s, and so Downforce is the name of the game here, and tonight is no different as we take the Downforce Legends, the Radical SR8, around this beautiful street course. I expect a high level of chaos just due to the nature of these cars. They do have sharp turning circles, so they can get around here cleanly. The question is whether or not they can do it when the grid is 23, 24, something like that. So yeah, I fully expect to have a hectic session ahead.
Yeah, and definitely with the race configuration tonight, as we saw last week here on the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club streams, it is the same. So it'll be a 15-minute first race as we're 6 minutes into qualifying, and then it'll be a reverse top 10 into a 25-minute feature race before we go across to the GT4s. On board with Richard Mayer at the moment. He had a good round number 1, and he's currently in first position in qualifying at the moment. So doing a great job backing it up, and he's setting the pace with a 1:14.386, 2 tenths the better of Reece Gosnell that you can see there in your tower on the left-hand side of your screen. Very tricky section here through Long Beach. Double left-hander into a change of direction, hard braking first gear onto the main straight. So we'll see whether Richard Mayer can get a better time here and extend his legs at the front and possibly continually take that pole. And he goes 1:14.204, and not to be bettered. Oh, sorry, Stuart Ellis has just jumped up the front there too, Daniel. So Stuart Ellis has pipped Richard Mayer there in the late time of this qualifying rather. So Stuart Ellis looking quick. He was quick in round number 1 as well. 7 minutes 12 in. We're on board with him at the moment. So we'll see whether he goes quicker. But have a look at those times, mate. 1:14.204. Currently your leader, Stuart Ellis, in the provisional pole. Richard Mayer with a 1:14.290, then 3 tenths back to Reece Gosnell with a 1:14.592. Scotty Rankin, he had a good showing in round number 1. We're on board with Reese Gosner now. He's in the 3rd position. He's going to be looking to better his time here through the final sector of the track into this hard braking right-hand hairpin. We'll see whether he can get up the board and try and get a front row start. We'll see as he comes across the line this time around, and it doesn't look like he can get that one done. So Scott Rankin's actually just pipped him as well. But mate, 8 seconds in the qualifying. As you said, it's going to be a very hectic night here in the Radicals. Concrete Jungle, as I've previously mentioned. Aiden Schwerkart, he's really quick, really quick. Raced against him in the Up-and-Comers series last night. He'll be looking for a good one as well. He was in the Formula 4s last night at Zandvoort and he was quick, and that's not how he wants his qualifying to go. But mate, we've got 2 great races here around Long Beach Circuit in the Radicals. I'm excited for this one. I can see how on edge they are, and I think we're going to have a lot to talk about just quietly.
Yeah, looking at the field, let's see if I can pull up some information here in the intervals. So we're looking at, let's see, a 14.2 by Stuart Ellis at the top end of town. All the way down, you have to go 13 positions before you get to a 1 second gap, which is down there, David Christensen. And so that is really close. And we've still got some time left on the board, about a minute there for everyone. So I'd imagine there'd be some improvements at the bottom end. Up there, Stuart Ellis still with the fastest time, 14.2. I don't know if he'll be able to improve on that one. He's still in the pits, and we're at 9 minutes 30. So I think that he's done as Matt Schmidtke comes to the line. And looks like 15.481 is his best time, currently in P14 as we switch over to Glenn Riddell. Still on track P4 at the moment, 114.385. So only 0.04 between himself and Braden Sagassa. Braden Sagassa in the pits and out of the session. So we'll see if Glenn Riddell can pip him. We'll jump on board as we make our way through the second half. Oh, no, that's it. The qualifying session is on. He's run out of time. So that's not going to go through.
But, mate, I'm looking forward to bringing this one here on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club streams. We're going to go through your starting grid for here. What is round 2 of the Radicals from Long Beach. It's Stuart Ellis and Richard Mayer from the front row. Braden Sagassa from 1-9 and Glenn Riddell out of the second row. Scotty Rankin, Reese Gosner out of the third row. Guy Leach and Brett Barker out of the fourth row. In the fifth row tonight will be Paul Wood and Gary Cousins. Going across the page will be Grant Gill, Aiden Schwerkart, who we saw have an incident there in practice, David Christensen in 13th, Matt Schmidtke from 571 Racing out of the 14th position. Sean Rees and Tony Baker will take up your 15th and 16th position tonight. Pete Matto Matson and Craig Tiberti out of the 17th and 18th position. 19th and 20th tonight will be Kevin Henderson and Robert McGrath. Going across the page, Phil King will start out of the 21st position tonight with Stephen Gallagher. Ben Woods, unfortunate there, he won't be happy starting 23rd, and Warren Ibbett in the 24th position. But we're going Concrete Jungle Racing, we're going Long Beach Racing rather, and we're going Radical Racing. So Daniel, we're about to go green. The guys are getting all formed up. This is the first of 2 races tonight. You will see a 15-minute race on board with Stuart Ellis. Your pole position tonight, look for the lights. Here we go, Radical Racing around Long Beach, Gentleman Sim Racing Club, and we are green. That's in the background as we watch them make their way down into turn number 1. I'll just be a little bit quiet here as we watch them navigate their way down through the first couple of corners, as there's guys looking very racy early on. So we'll just let them navigate through and we'll let you know where your favourite driver is.
Oh, there's a hit into the fountain there.
Oh, someone upside down.
That looks like Gary Cousins in the back there was spun around. He's the one that's currently pointing the wrong way, down in P23, 13 positions down after that incident. And so we'll try and go back and analyze that. God, my event log is all red. So many cars were involved in that. So that's going to take some time to go through. But the biggest profit there is Braden Sagassa, 2 positions up, as well as Glenn Riddell, P1 and 2 respectively.
Yeah, correct, mate. Braden Sagassa up into the first position. Glenn Riddell into second as we're on board with Braden Sagassa. But a couple of drivers there early doors in this one that got caught up in a little bit of an incident as they make their way through the final turn. And Braden Sagassa will lead the field across the start-finish line here for lap number 1, round number 2 of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club here in the Radicals. But mate, we expected a little bit of incidents. We got that early on as we're 2 wide now. Aiden Schwerkart trying to make his way up the field after a mid-pack qualifying position. Is he going to make a move into turn number 1? We're going to have a look right now, and he is. He's going to try and get that job done. It looks like he's got that job done, and he has. So Aiden Schwerkart just made the move on Paul Wood and has made his way up into the 8th position. So up 4 positions on his starting position out of the 12th. Aiden Schwerkart, keep an eye out of him, making his way forward early on in this one. But Daniel, mate, 15-minute race. We're only 2 minutes in. I get excited very, very quickly. But, mate, car off onto the outside there. And we can see a drive-through penalty for car 7. So Aiden Schwerkart's got a drive-through penalty there, Daniel. So I was just talking, he had a really good start to this race and he's going to have to serve a drive-through penalty. So we'll go back and have a look at that replay, but unfortunate there for Aiden.
So it looks like this was, yes, right into the back, launches him out, and that'll be why. Oh, he gets tapped, and that's what causes. Oh, but then he gets corrected. Yeah, you win some, you dim some. All right, so yes, and then he's, facing the wrong way around. So that is a very rough one. Now these guys do get a fast repair, so that'll be done. As you can see, Aiden just coming through now to serve that drive-through. But
yeah, no doubt, Daniel, sorry to cut you off there, mate. No doubt you'll have a little bit of damage there, so that won't help him either, but he looked pretty quick early on in this race, so he'll make his way back hopefully. But on board with Stuart Ellis, this is the fight for 6th and 7th, I believe, at the time. So Stuart Ellis at the moment in the 6th and 5th, so that's Richard Mayer just in front of him.
Oh, so, big lock-up.
Big lock-up from Richard, so Stuart's going to get the job done there, and he's now got his eyes forward on Brett Barker in the 4th position. But it's exactly what we expected here on the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club, race number 1 here on the Radicals. It's a little bit elbows out, mate, and trying to keep the car around the track nice and like the... what am I trying to say here? I've got to put my teeth in, mate. Trying to keep the car nice and stable and try and not have those mistakes is definitely what we're seeing at the moment. Braden Sagassa has been the best of that one at the moment after leading the race now. So he's got Riddell, Rankin and Barker behind him. Scotty Rankin, good start to this race as well. Started out of 5th position up into P number 2. And that's Barker right behind Rankin. So this little race at the front of the motor race is a little bit juicy here. We are about 1/3 of the way through the race, and we'll see whether these guys can give us a good battle here on the GSR streams here at the end of race number 1. Of course, we've got 2 races coming for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, here in the Radicals, and then we're going to go across to the GT4s. But Brett Barker gets all over the back of Scotty Rankin as we are 5 minutes into 15 here for race number 1 on the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club, brought to you by Waste Options and Orbic as we go down into this tricky change of direction. Brett Barker all over the back of Scotty Rankin. Is he going to want to have a go here, Daniel, or is he going to want to sit behind? Because in behind him as well is Stuart Ellis. It's a 5-way fight for the front here, and it's going to be interesting to see how these boys play it out.
Yeah, there's so Stuart Ellis has managed to make his way up to that front pack. Also setting the fastest lap of the race on that previous one, a 1:14.792, as we see Riddell and Sagassa fighting for P1. It looks like Riddell will get him on the outside as they go into the fountain, and so he will move up into that P1 position. And a 10-second penalty for Robert McGrath for not showing enough care into the yellow flag conditions with Peter Matson on lap 2. So that's an unfortunate one there for car 140. Going back to what you were saying previously, these cars, it's called the Downforce Legend. So as expected, there is a high amount of error, which means corner entry and exit speeds. The thing is, these cars are very sensitive at the back and they're very easy to spin because there's not a lot of weight to them. They are designed as a pure race car. So what these guys have to do is they have to find that perfect balance between corner speed but then stability on the exit. And what will happen is the cars behind, for example, on your screen right now, Glenn Riddell in P1. He's got Braden Sagassa behind him with the greatest livery I've ever seen on a race car. And as they come around the hairpin turn for the final turn, he's going to want to make that radical as large as possible in Glenn's mirrors. That's going to achieve two things. One, it's going to have a bit of a pressure effect, thinking which way is he going to go, and it not trying to get him away from thinking, where's my brake marker, where's my turn-in point, and all that time, because it's very easy to lock these cars up. So the more you get the guy in front of you thinking about your position, the less he's thinking about his position, and that's what causes these mistakes. And so all of this comes together in a nice little package, and you combine that with the close-natured circuit, such as Long Beach, and that's what causes such awesome racing. We've seen a lot of damage so far. Luckily, these guys do have a fast repair at their disposal to fix. But as the times start to come down and we get closer to the end of race one, I fully expect some more high-intensity, more desperate driving. And don't forget, we've got a race 2. So the top 10 will reverse, and then we go around for another 25 minutes.
Yeah, and you're exactly right, mate. And you can see there, Braden Sagassa, he's just trying to put the car in the blind spot there of Glenn Riddell under the braking sections, trying to make him a little bit unnervy. He's definitely right behind there. You did see just 2 laps ago when you did mention there, Daniel, Glenn got the job done around the outside in turn number 1, the section that we're about to go down to now. But he's just, we're going back to Paul Wood. He must have had an accident here, so we're going back to Paul Wood.
Oh, there's 3 of them there. So that's P3, 4, and 5, I believe. So let's see, that's caused, Stuart Ellis and Paul Wood to drop down there. So they've now lost the back of that pack, as you can see on the timing tower to your top left. Glenn Riddell still in P1, Sagassa 0.3 behind him. Scott Rankin has dropped down just past the half a tenth mark, and then Stuart Ellis 3.5 seconds down. So that's now broken up. We've only got 3 in that front pack.
Yeah, it's definitely, the front pack has definitely minimised here. As you can see, Riddell, Sagassa and Rankin just trying to tag on the back end of this one. But Sagassa, after being taken over by Riddell in the early doors of this one, he's going to want to possibly try and get the move back, or is he going to just try and sit there? These 3 guys, if they don't make a mistake, they're going to run off into the distance here and start in the 10th, 9th and 8th position for race number 2 tonight. But it's been good going. Braden Sagassa, he's only up 1, but Glenn Riddell, he's showing some form here. 1:14.578 last time around, the 10th quicker than Braden Sagassa. So he's made the move, and now he's starting to extend his legs. Braden's not going to want to let him get away, and neither is Scott Rankin. Scott Rankin coming off a podium here for round number 1 last week as well. So doing a good job here early in race number 1 at Long Beach. I spoke to him early. He didn't feel that comfortable. He was in 6th in practice. He's doing a great job up into 3rd, race number 1 tonight. But this battle for the lead, ladies and gentlemen, don't take your eyes off this. Braden Sagassa all over the back in Riddell as he nearly wipes the side of his car out of the outside of that turn there. So they're definitely on the limit here, mate.
Yeah, that's what makes these cars so interesting, the fact that they are lively. They are racing at its purest form. Now, as you take a look at this front 3, right, one of these things is not like the other. Glenn Riddell's car has a straight wing. Sagassa and Rankin do not. It means that they're going to have more grip on a right-hand turn, but otherwise, that is damage on the rear wings of both P2 and P3 as Glenn Riddell sets a fastest time again, 1:14.506. 3 positions gained for Glenn since the start of this race, and he has, or showing, no signs of slowing down. Further down the pack, we've got Tony Baker in P7, moved up 9 positions since the start of the race, with an actually quite a nice battle. We'll move down to Glade Leach here in P9 and watch that. So another battle, 4 cars in this pack, going from Brett Barker all the way down to Guy Leach as we get a message from race control. An incident involving Peter Matson and Phil King is under investigation on lap 7. I'm also seeing in my event timings something serious happened to Stephen Gallacher, and judging by the timing window, he's down in P21, so it looks like he had a serious crash as we just see David Christensen kiss the wall. And it looks like Guy Leach might try and go on the inside here.
Up by positions as we've got to move on the inside here by Guy Leach, and he's going to get the job done there. Oh, as Christensen hits the wall there on the exit for the second time in the lap. So good move there by Guy Leach over David Christensen. He's going to now have Tony Baker all in front of him, ready to try and make a move on that. But mate, we had an unfortunate incident early on. We're now 11 minutes 40 into the 15 minutes here on the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club streams. These battles are good through the minor placings. It's a great racing at the front as well. So I'm just having a look. You just stay on with this one, mate. I'm having a look at the timing. The gap at the front has not minimised, so it still is Glenn Riddell and Braden Sagasa all over the back of Glenn. They've got a 1.5 second lead over Scotty Rankin. So as we look at this little battle between Guy Leach and Tony Baker, Guy's gaining a lot on Tony here. Only 3 minutes to go. Is Guy going to want to make a little bit of a move here? We're about to find out. But the lead for the race is heating up.
Tony's hit the wall, and that's allowed Guy Leach to go straight past. Look at the severity of the bend in that wing. David Christensen's going to go on the inside here now. And I'm going to...
commentator's curse if you've never seen it.
It is. Oh, it's race control. 5-second penalty for Pete Matson due to the contact with Phil King on lap 7. So an unfortunate one there for Matto. But Guy Leach up into P7 now, and Tony Baker down to P9 as Richard Mayer gets past Grant Gill for P10. So as it stands, for the next 2 minutes, if he can hold on to that, Richard Mayer will be starting P1 next go around.
Well, let's, as Richard and Tony have a little battle here, let's go back to the lead of the motor race. Only 0.2 of a second. And last time around, Braden Sagasa took a tenth out of your leader, Glenn Riddell. 1:14.507 compares to a 1:14.407 from Braden Sagasa. Oh, as Glenn has a big tank slapper on the exit there of the corner. 13 minutes and 30 seconds into this 15-minute race. There's about 2 laps to go. Does Braden Sagasa have anything for your leader of Glenn Riddell? If these guys come a gutser, as we say, Scotty Rankin will be sitting in the background 1.2 seconds behind them, waiting to take the win of this one. Here we go, down the main straight. We've got 1:08 left, so next time coming across the start-finish line, we're going to go white flag for race number 1 here in the Radicals of what is 2 tonight on the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club streams. And it's between Glenn Riddell and Braden Sagasa into turn number 1. Does Braden have anything for Glenn? We'll see. You did say earlier Glenn didn't have any rear wing issues. It doesn't look like he does again. I'm surprised he didn't after that big tank slapper, but Braden right behind him as he makes his way down the back straight. Here we go, Braden Sagasa. Is he going to make a dive on Glenn Riddell as we come down to this hard left-hand braking section? He's got the good run. He's just going to have a look. Is he going to have time to do it? Is he going to have the guts to do it? We're about to find out. Oh, very close to the wall there as Glenn just takes a little bit of wall on exit again, and he's got a bit of rear damage. So here we go, down into the final section. Braden just trying to get into his little bit of a blind spot there in his mirror and makes his way through. So next time through, 1 lap to go, Daniel. Here we go, final lap. Final corner, we're about to go white. Oh no, we're going.
I think we're going, yep.
Checkered flag.
It'll be checkered flag.
So Glenn Riddell's got the win here, mate. Here I was bringing it up to a 1 lap to go, and Glenn Riddell has got the win over Braden Sagasa and Scott Rankin.
So unlucky there for Sagasa as they were coming around that final turn. We did tick to time, and so that was the last lap of the race, which is unfortunate. But Glenn Riddell, really well done. He tagged the wall a couple of times in the final couple of laps. As Richard Mayer comes across in P10, so he will start at the front of grid on the next race. I'm just waiting for the back half of the grid to make their way by. So much damage I can see as they all come past, except for, let's see, who's this? That's Warren Ibbott. His car seemed to be on the straight and narrow. But yeah, great race there from Glenn Riddell. The biggest mover was actually Warren in P14, 10 positions up from the start of the race. The biggest loser there was Reese Gosner with 14 positions lost down in P20.
Yeah, unfortunately there for Reese. A lot of drivers that had lots of gains there in that race, and a lot of drivers that unfortunately had a lot of negative results, but that is the nature of Long Beach, and this is the Downforce Legends on the GSRC streams here across your platforms of YouTube and Facebook. But we will go across and bring you your positions here for what was race number 1, round number 2 at Long Beach here on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club stream. So Glenn Riddell did get the win over Braden Sagasa, Scott Rankin in the 3rd position, Stuart Ellis in 4th, and Paul Wood rounded out your 5th place. Brett Barker, Guy Leach, David Christensen, Tony Baker, and Richard Mayer rounded out your 10. Craig Taberti, Matt Smitke, Grant Gill, Warren Ibbott, and Kevin Henderson was your 15 tonight for round number 2, race number 1. Gary Cousins, Phil King, Ben Woods. He hasn't felt comfortable tonight. He was talking to me earlier on before we got into this, Daniel, and he wasn't feeling comfortable, and it seems like it's showing that tonight, but don't write off Woodsy. He's there or thereabouts all the time. Aidan Schwerkolt in the 19th position and Reese Gosner in the 20th. Stephen Gallagher there in 21st. Pete Matson, after a couple little unfortunate penalties there, came home in 22nd. Sean Rees 23rd. Robert McGrath in 24th. Phillip Howe and Lachlan Hewitt rounded out your positions here for race number 1, round number 2 at Long Beach here, mate. So it's definitely nothing that we didn't expect at Long Beach as they're in the warm-up session. We'll take the opportunity to go through the sponsors, mate, if we can, before we go into race number 2. As we said here, it will be a reverse top 10, but you can see a big thank you to Player One Sim Gear, p1simgear.com.au. Go across to them for all your sim gear. Support the people that support us. Lobesy Racing, of course, a big shout out to you guys. Thank you for supporting the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Of course, Waste Options, we can't go past them. Big shout out to them. Jump across and support them. Orbic, a big supporter of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. They'll be the main sponsor of what you'll see coming up later on your Gentleman Sim Racing Club streams when we bring you the GT4 action from Phillip Island. So a big shout out to Orbic. Of course, Login Solutions, managed IT business solutions. If you have a business out there, you need some IT help, get on to Login Systems. They'll help you out. So a big thank you to M-Wave as well. They are a big supporter of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. We love to support the people that support us and allow us to go racing. But we're about to go racing very shortly as we got Flash Graphics as well on the screen. A big shout out to Flash Graphics. So many sponsors here on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, but we're about to go racing here for the second race at Long Beach. Gentleman Sim Racing Club, your grid is Richard Mayer in the reverse top 10 off first. Baker, Christensen, Leach, Barker, Wood, Ellis, Rankin, Sagasa, Riddell, 10, and we're going racing here for race number 2 in the Radical. That says a big crash there on the main straight there, Daniel, but we tried to get through that very quickly. We'll keep going, but I reckon there may be a safety car for that one, but we tried to get that one done really quickly as we're trying to get through the sponsors, as you can see them on the right-hand side. So Brett Barker has got the jump over Baker.
Oh, no.
And there's a big incident there through the fountain. So reverse top 10s, this is what you see, mate. And unfortunate there, Scotty Rankin, your 3rd place getter from race number 1, caught up in that one, so not a deal for Scott.
That's a big one again. My event log flashing red. So many people were involved in that one. As Richard Mayer trying to hold off Stuart Ellis for P4. So he wasn't able to hold on to that lead for very long. Brett Barker shot right up there. 4 positions gained to the front of this race before the end of lap 1. So a great job there from car 95. We might just go back have a look here as to what happened. We'll jump onto the drone footage. So here's Scott Rankin coming around turn 1, moving towards the fountain. And there's the first crash. He goes into the wall. And then unfortunately, look at that massive pile-up. Race controller's going to have a lot on their hands. God, he's carried him all the way to the wall.
Yeah, it looks like Aiden Schwerkart there's got no racing incident between car 912. So Aiden in another incident, but I think there was plenty in incidents in that first lap there, Daniel. So very hard to break that one down. We could be here all night to break that one down, but we're on board with Richard Mayer at the moment, up into the 4th position. He started off pole, so he's dropped 3 positions, as you mentioned just earlier. And we haven't seen a safety car yet, so it looks like we're green flag racing, and the boys are good to move their way forward.
Yeah, it didn't seem as though there was too big of a delay. Everyone managed to get around at some point. I can see a couple of people who have towed to pits. That would be Sean Rees and Grant Gill, which is why you will see them at the bottom of the timing tower on your left. There is also Lachlan Hewitt, who is out of the race so far.
Leach makes a move up the inside there. Sorry to cut you off with Tony Baker, and he only just got that done as he saw him have a big slap against the outside wall. So Guy Leach made the move there on Tony Baker for the 2nd position. But mate, sorry to cut you off, but that was a big move, and he nearly fenced that one really hard.
Yeah, he did get the move done, but not without consequence. You can see that rear wing on the left side is bent up, so he did tag the wall. And not sure how much of a penalty that will give you. Never really measured it in these cars. I'm sure there'll be some effect, but we will see over the course. This one, of course, a longer race, 25 minutes. We're only in lap 3, 3 minutes in. With the fastest lap going to Richard Mayer at the moment, a 1:15.53. Tony Baker chasing down Guy Leach here for P2 as race control given a 5-second penalty to Robert McGrath, car 140, because of contact in a yellow flag sector of the track with Sean Rees, car 323 on the first lap. So that is something the race control are going to be cracking down more and more. With iRacing, yellow flags, people tend to keep their foot planted and not take it the caution seriously. Of course, because it is virtual racing. Sometimes you just want to get on with it. There's no real risk, but we do need to keep in mind that the cars might be virtual, but the racing is real. So you must adhere to the conditions. If you have a yellow flag, you need to slow down. Overtaking is prohibited in a yellow flag condition. And so if you're going absolute full stick when the yellow flags are out and you come into contact with someone, you will be getting a penalty. So these guys really need to get that in their noggins, quick, smart, to avoid penalties like that in the future. So lap 4 at the moment. Brett Barker still in the lead. 4 positions up now. He's doing a great job so far. Guy Leach, 1.5 seconds behind. Brett Barker is really putting the throttle down in this radical and doing a great job at it. Tony Baker, 1 second behind Guy Leach. Richard Mayer's gone up to right to the back of Tony Baker there, only 3/10 behind. So watch for a move in the coming laps. And then Stuart Ellis and Sagasa for P5 and 6 will finish that top pack.
Yeah, 100% mate. Sagasa, keep an eye out for him after being up in 2nd position for race number 1. Keep an eye out on him as he's all over the back of Stuart Ellis. It's a traditional battle here at the front, as we saw early in the race number 1. And I don't think we're going to see anything different here for race number 2. But while you're on the board there, on the direction there of the penalties and the stuff coming down, we do have Josh Zuno in the broadcast booth at the moment. He can hear us. I don't know if he's available to talk to us, as there's a 10-second penalty there for car 173. Big Matt's got another penalty. He had a penalty in race number 1, contact with car 323. But Josh, if you do have a copy, mate, it's okay if you don't. A little bit of an explanation. I know that Daniel did a really good job, but contact under yellows there, obviously clamping down on that one.
Yeah, that's it, mate. So this one, there was contact. There could have been a slight amount, so he did react quite quickly. He locked up and caused contact, so it was an accident. He was trying, but there was still contact, so penalty has to be given out for that one specifically. But yeah, I am just trying to catch my breath here. Holy moly.
Yeah, mate, I did give you a warning before we come into the broadcast. I think me, Daniel, and yourself did have a conversation and said there could possibly be a bit of a busy night for you, mate. And we're going into the GT4s later, but this car, this track combination, nothing against the drivers, just a very tricky combination. So we go back to the replay here. Kevin Henderson having a bit of a moment as he slaps the wall through that turn, and he's going to lose it there, and no one else is involved in that. So Kevin Henderson, he ejects himself out of the race, but we're back on with Braden Sager. So he's going to get the job done, and Braden's got the job done there over Stuart Ellis. So Stuart having a big moment there, Daniel, and Braden, after coming second place in the race number 1, starting out of 8th place, made his way up into 2nd, and he's going to be chasing down Brett Barker, and we've still got 18 minutes left to go in this one.
There's an incident at the back there. Tony Baker has dropped down now to P11. Here's what happened. So Richard Mayer possibly looking inside. Let's have a look. Tony Baker comes out and, yeah, just cooks it. Oh, and they both go into each other. So Richard's been able to get out of that, but Tony is stuck in that wall and just gets tagged by his teammate there. That is such a dangerous spot for that car. Wow, I'm surprised he didn't get away worse than that. That's actually really well done from everyone else.
I'm actually surprised 3 or 4 other cars didn't go into the back of him there, Daniel. It was a very precarious situation for him, and could have ended up a lot worse for a couple of other drivers. So good for them to all get through there. But Braden Sager, so we were back on board there. Scotty Rankin, he had a story to tell at the start of this one. He 3rd place in race number 1. Caught up in that incident. He's trying to make his way back through the field, and that's Robbie McGrath up in front of him. So Scotty Rankin trying to make his way through the field, 8 minutes into 25, long way to go. As he's going to make his way up the outside here, is he going to get the job done in turn number 1? Probably not the best positioning. And he's got a gaggle of cars in front of him through the fountain turn here. So Scott Rankin just try. Oh, as Robbie gets really loose in front of him. Good job by Scott to elude that one, but a gaggle of cars here, so Scott's going to have to navigate this very, very carefully to hopefully try and get some points, and some decent points, after what's been a disappointing start for race number 2 as he makes a big dive down, and
he's
that's
tagged
going
back.
to be that's unfortunate for Scott Rankin.
Yeah, that's. I could see the move developing. The problem is that you're not significantly alongside, so you can't just dive down like that. And so I'm sure Race Control will have a look at that at some point. But sometimes you just see that red mist and you're like, yeah, I can shoot it up the inside. But that was an unfortunate Monday for Scott Rankin. So
he's probably seen a bit of red mist though, Daniel, mate. He had an unfortunate start, and he's just trying to get his way back up through the field. A little bit of air on the side of caution there. He did think it was done, not up further enough. Not for us to judge, but clipped him in the rear, and unfortunately that's not going to be a good result, I would suggest. The Skycam brought to you by Waste Options for Scotty Rankin. But mate, that's how quickly it can happen. We're road racing, we're on the concrete jungle, as I said in the pre-broadcast. That's as quickly as it can happen. These guys want to win, they want to get up the front, and that's what these guys are not willing to do rather, but that's unfortunately sometimes how close you are on the edge of making a mistake.
Let's just have a look at that racing board, man. If you're David Christensen, you must be fuming. 16 positions down from the start of the race as Brett Barker crosses the start, lap 9 at 1:15.2 from the guy out front. Closest battle is the one on your screen, Braden Sagassa, P4, chasing down Stuart Ellis in P3. I also believe I saw a 15-second penalty coming Sagassa's way for overtaking under yellows. So that's a heavy.
He regressed that position about a lap later, and we changed that one to race safety penalty. So he still didn't show enough care in yellows.
Okay, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You hear it from Josh Zuno, the race control there. He does have a 15-second penalty coming at the end of the race, but he has readdressed it. So Braden Sagassa, the guy or the driver on board at the moment, chasing down Stuart Ellis. He's not going to have a drive-through, but he will have a bit of a penalty at the end of the race. So,
Sorry, Gabe.
No, sorry.
That penalty, mate. We've changed that one to a safety license point penalty.
My
Because of
apologies.
reverse position. Yes, there's no time penalty.
My apologies. I totally misheard what you said there, mate. My apologies. So, race on here for Braden Sagasa here against Stuart Ellis. Here we go. But I've got one I've got to give it a little bit of a shout out to. I've got to give him a bit of an airtime because I raced against him last night, mate. Up 11 positions, 8 Schwerker. He had an unfortunate first race. There he is. He's up into the 8th position, and he's currently navigating about a tenth of a second quicker than Glenn Riddell in front of him. And Glenn was your winner from race number 1. Oh, so there's the commentator first. I'm not going to talk about it. Not going to talk about it anymore. Nah, can't do it.
Oh!
No way.
You couldn't time that better.
That's a G up if I've ever seen it.
You couldn't time that better. They talk about the commentator's curse, but that's too good.
That is a G up. I'm rolling on the floor, not laughing, but that is a G up.
I'm just going to put this out into the world. Is the idea that, like, the entire car is a roll cage? Is that what I'm looking at with this?
Well, I don't think I need to commentate for the next 10 minutes. I'll just put cars into the wall, mate.
Yeah, that is, we have, look, a wise man once said, with great power comes great responsibility. So, as stewards of that power, we need to be responsible with it and make sure that we're only targeting and just trying not to be untoward to people's driving. It can be a rough job sometimes, but that is the one that we signed up for. As Guy Leach sets the fastest lap of the race, that last turn by 1:14.73 from him up at P2, currently chasing down Brett Barker, but a 4.2 second gap. We have 12 minutes left on the clock. It's not impossible to bring down that gap, but Brett Barker has been flying, so I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it. Scott Rankin looking on the inside there of Phil King, but not able to make it.
And we haven't seen whether, I don't know if I've missed it, but we haven't seen whether there's been anything to play out there for Scott Rankin with the move he made into turn number 1 just a couple of laps ago. So keep your eyes on the screen here. We're back with Braden Sagasa in the 4th position. This is your battle for the final step on the podium. That's Stuart Ellis right in front of him, and right in front of them is Guy Leach as well. So here we go, 10-second penalty. There you go, car 156, Scott Rankin with car number 140 on lap number 7. So Scotty Rankin's going to have a 10-second post-race penalty. So there you see it here live on the GSR streams. We knew Scotty Rankin might have had something to answer for in there, you see, 10-second penalty, but this is the battle for 4th and 3rd position. As we go back, Ben Woods might have had an issue here as we go back to the replay, and he has. He's got loose and just touched the ball on the inside. So Twitchy Foot Racing, Ben Woods, a little bit of an incident there, and he's now back in the 17th position as this battle for 3rd on the racetrack definitely heats up here, mate.
Yep, lap 12. And Ben was actually very, very lucky to just tap the wall, so no serious damage for him. He'll be able to get back racing. Currently P17, up 1 position from the start of the race. And man, if you're Braden Sagasa, you're going to start to get a little angry. Stuart Ellis has been doing a great job staying ahead there. 4 positions gained for him, 5 for Braden. And every single lap, he's getting closer and closer. And then down this main straight, just have a look. I'll jump into the in-car view. Watch how small Stuart Ellis gets to the end of this straight. So straight line speed is definitely in Stuart's favour, but then once we come into the corners, Sagasa seems to be able to close that gap. Look how much faster he is on that corner exit.
Wow.
So Sagasa has the corners nailed, but as soon as I get onto that main straight, Stuart is just out and away. So it's a interesting dynamic between the two, different driving styles, and it's just not working for Sagasa at the moment, but we still have a decent amount of laps to go. And I speed!
There it worked. And I was just about to say, mate, and cut you off. Braden was putting himself in the blind spot in that mirror that I've said earlier, and sorry to cut you off like I said, but I could see that one coming. He was putting the car in the positions, trying to get Ellis to make the mistake, and that's exactly what we saw as he now gets the job done into P3, but my sincere apologies for cutting you off, mate.
No, that's okay. And again, just another example of the power that we have as commentators. We talk about something enough and it happens. So just give me a minute. Daniel's going to win the lotto at some point in the next week. All right, we'll see if that comes true. So
I've always said, mate, it's actually, I've said I'm always going to win the lotto, but there was one minor detail I missed. I actually got to put my ticket on.
yeah, see, that's the same thing with me. I just never play, and I never seem to win, which is crap. In any case, Pete Matson, P16, chasing down David Christensen. It's the closest battle at the moment. Actually, it's an even battle. P16 and 15, and Schweikert in P10, who's recovered from that earlier incident. He is chasing down Paul Wood for P9, but Matto here, trying to get by the... that's a lovely livery too. It's the Holden Dealer Team livery on that Radical. It's actually what I run when I race these cars.
Albeit the left-hand side of it looking a little bit worse for wear as the rear wing. It's not the first rear wing we've seen lifted up on the left-hand rear tonight, mate. The left-hand rear of these cars have definitely taken a banging in the first couple of races of this one.
Yeah, that's what you get for a clockwise track. You're always going to have more contact on the left side because you're doing more right-hand turns. You extend your speed. You obviously don't make the corner as best as you can, and you graze the wall, which... Pete actually keeps out. He gets a bit of snap understeer in the middle of the corner. Goes to correct, turns into oversteer. Luckily keeps it out of the wall, though. But, yeah, you'll see plumes of concrete come up sometimes as we go on board with people, and that's just them grazing that wall. The lovely walls here at Long Beach. 18 minutes has just ticked over. About 15. Brett Barker still in the lead of this race. Guy Leach. The gap is actually extending. We're almost at 5 seconds. So Brett Barker has done a really, really good job so far. Hopefully he can maintain it and come across with the win. Braden Sagassa there in P3, only 3/10 behind Guy Leach. Oh, as we see a move there. Wow, yeah, Phil King, serious damage on that car. Look at that, he is limping.
Yeah, Phil.
And he's coming into the pits for that, so that's a rough one there for Phil.
Unfortunate there for Philber, but mate, you did mention Guy Leach and Brett Barker. He is off 4 seconds up the racetrack, but this is the battle for second in the race at the moment as they make their way into the final turn. So last time around, Braden Sagassa was 0.3 of a second quicker than Guy Leach, and he's going to try and make get the job done. If he does, he might have a little bit of time to try and get Brett Barker. If I'm looking at the times, he's only 0.2 of a second quicker per lap. Looks like Brett's probably got it done, but if Braden can get the job done here, it would be interesting to see what times he can actually pull out and see whether he can try and bring back that deficit for the lead and try and get the win. But we'll see how we go. Stuart Ellis, Richard Mayer and Matt Smith in year 5 and 6. But 19.5 minutes into 25, it has definitely not disappointed here at the Radicals around Long Beach. And I reckon there's a lot more to come with still 5 minutes to go.
An amazing job. That gap has actually shrunk down to 4 seconds down, so I don't know if Brett had a moment or not, but as it stands, I think he will be able to take the win of this race. The real fight is the one that you're watching, and don't count out Stuart Ellis just yet. He's managed to bring that gap to Sagassa in P3 down under the 1 second mark, so if Guy Leach and Braden Sagassa keep fighting, this may allow Stuart to get in on that fight, and then once we tick down to the 24-minute mark, I would expect a desperation to set in, and maybe they'll go for these moves. You can see Sagassa eyeing the inside, but he knows that under braking the cars can be a little unpredictable, so the safer option is to stay in the draft. You've still got a decent amount of time on the board. Don't rush it. Try and stick as close as you can through the sections. Out through in the fountain, moving on to the right-hander, of which there are a lot here at Long Beach. So Guy Leach doing a great job at the moment. You can see the wing damage there. Sagassa doesn't have that. Whether or not that will affect, I'm not sure. I haven't seen too much of a drastic difference. If we have a look at the gaps there through the laps there.
And
Yeah.
Braden's really good, Daniel. I don't know if you agree, but Braden's really good through the first section of the racetrack, but he doesn't really have anything to be able to use it because a very tricky place section of the track to be able to make a pass. So he's very much quicker than Guy Leach through the first section of the racetrack. We're in the back end of it now, but if you watch when we come through turn number 1, 2, 3 and 4, he's a lot quicker, but he just doesn't have the opportunity to be able to use it. So where's he going to make the dive if he does have a chance to make one? We're about to find out. We've got 3.5 minutes to go, only a couple of laps to go. Interesting to see as Braden just tries to get in that blind spot into the braking area again. This is where he is very quick. You can see him range right up onto the back of Guy Leach through the change of direction. He made me look like a liar a little bit there, but we'll see whether he gets a little bit closer as they come onto the back straight here. We've got 3 minutes to go. Braden Sagasa, this is the fight for P2 in the motor race. Brett Barker, 4 seconds up the road. We will worry about him later, but it looks like he's got that job done if he doesn't do anything wrong or make a mistake. But this is the battle on the track at the moment between Sagasa and Leach for second and third in the race. Will Sagasa have a go, Daniel? Do you think he's going to have a go at some point?
He's too far back at the moment to get a safe move done. In my opinion, his battle plan should be force Guy Leach to make a mistake. Ooh, as Sagasa just locks up there, so that's going to cost him some time into the hairpin. And he lost a bit of traction there, so Guy Leach with a bit some respite. He'll be able to breathe easy now as the gap has extended. But yeah, if I'm Sagasa, I'm trying to force Leach to make a mistake. I don't think with the speed that Sagasa's been displaying on the straights that he has the ability to make the move. He'll have to try a desperate dive on the inside. That can go wrong. You don't want to walk away with a penalty for that so close to the end of the race. So yeah, I'm thinking make yourself as big as possible in the mirrors. Try and seem unpredictable at the back there. Force Leach to look at you instead of the corner. Make a mistake and then you get by. This is exactly what he did to Stuart Ellis earlier on in the race.
Yeah, he needs to set him up a little bit. As you can see there, he gained a lot more time after struggling out of the final turn. He gained a lot more time on Leach there through that first section. So he's definitely got a lot of pace, but he just doesn't have anything to be able to use it here through the back end of the track. So we'll keep an eye out here down the end of the back straight into the right-hand, left-hand change of the direction. He gets a good run there through the change of direction right behind Leach. He's not going to be able to do anything here. He's just going to have to sit in behind and try and get a good run onto the straight. Here we go. He struggles a little bit there with the run off the final turn, but we'll see whether Braden's got anything for Leach through this first sector. We're only 1 minute to go, ladies and gentlemen, here for round number 2. Race number 2 on the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club streams here on all your platforms.
Oh, that's it!
Leach has made a mistake, and there's the commentator's curse again, mate. I've done it again.
So that was it. That was a mistake. Guy Leach cooking it just a little too hard going into that first turn. We'll try and have a look at that pass from Guy Leach's perspective there. So here we go. He comes down to that corner, 6th gear. There's the lock up on the car. Slides it, taps the wall. So that's it. He's looking behind to see if Sagasa's going to make a move. He doesn't. All well and good. Realizes that he's put just a little bit too much brake pressure. Doesn't have enough aero on the front. The car gets light. The brakes lock up. He slides, hits the wall, and Sagasa gets past. Doesn't have to risk anything. No inside dives. No drastic moves. He just allowed the car, the driver in front, to outdrive themselves. And so that is a great move there for Sagasa. And Stuart Ellis has also capitalized on that as we come to the start-finish line. And the race is now over. Brett Barker crosses the line and takes first position in race 2 here at Long Beach. Sagasa and Ellis also cross the line with Guy Leach. So Guy Leach down to P4, which is just so rough on the last lap there.
Very rough, mate. That's 15 minutes of pressure there, right there. As Riddell, Schmidtke, Gosner, Swerker, who had a bit of an issue there early on. I did put the commentator curse on him. He's about to come across the line here in the 9th position, and Paul Wood rounding out your 10. But I tell you what, Daniel, as they all file their way across and get their positions here for round number 2, race number 2 of the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club Radicals here from Long Beach, mate. I couldn't have put many more commentators' curse on, but we're about to go GT4 racing. But we'll bring up all the action here and finish this one up first. But I'll tell you what, a commentator curse 101 tonight.
Yeah, it's been a shocker. We're probably going to have to turn this into a nature sounds stream just to avoid causing any more incidents. But I mean, it was, as we were talking about. See, the pressure can get to you. This is the thing. Like, something that people need to understand if they're not across it already is what makes racing so great isn't always that the how fast you can turn a lap. Although that's awesome to watch, that isn't always the end goal. There's other things to consider, things like pitch strategy, things like tires. But more important than that is composure, consistency. It's all well and good if you can do a one lap qualifying, flying lap. That's great, but you need to be able to carry that into the race. You need to be able to do a consistent time, manage the car, and not allow the pressure to get to you. And it's moments like that we just saw where everything can unravel in the last lap. There was 25 minutes of racing, and it only took 17 seconds to get that all undone for Guy Leach. I do feel for him. It's a decent points finish, still fourth, but yeah, sometimes the pressure gets to you. You make a small mistake, and that's all that's needed to undo your race.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And like you said, that's how quick it can happen. And we all know that. We've all been racing and done stuff at different times. And definitely 25 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever the race is, you've got to be on edge the whole time. And these guys would have been that way. And that's exactly what we saw. And that was unfortunate there for Guy Leach. But we'll go through your final standings here for what was round number 2, race number 2, your sprint from Long Beach in California here on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club streams. It was Brett Barker coming home in P1, Braden Sagasa in P2, and Stuart Ellis, your podium tonight in P3. Guy Leach, Richard Mayer, and Glenn Riddell rounds out your 6th. Matt Schmidtke, Reese Gosner, Aidan Schwerkott with a good recovery in 9th, and Paul Wood in 10th. Scotty Rankin with an unfortunate night tonight in the 11th position. Tony Baker in 12th. I say Scotty Rankin, unfortunate night and fortunate second race after what was a great first race. So he's not going to be happy with that one. Tony Baker in 12th, as I've said. Warren Ibbett in 13th. David Christensen in 14th. Ben Woods in 15th. Phil King, Philber in 16th. Pete Matto Matson in 17th. Craig Taberti in 18th. Robert McGrath in your 19th position. And rounding out your 20 tonight was Kevin Henderson. Stephen Gallagher, or Gallagher, rather, Gary Cousins, Sean Rees, Grant Gill, Phillip Howe, and Lachlan Hewitt rounding out your 26 positions. But Daniel, mate, it's exactly what we thought we were going to see here tonight around Long Beach, here for round number 2 on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club streams. Mate, I've got nothing else to say. I've put commentators' curses on. We're going to go back and watch a little bit of highlights here. Commentators' curses on. We've had cars on the wall. We've had some great racing. It's exactly what we expected.
Yeah, it was a chaotic race, and it really did deliver some great moments. And I can see that we've got Braden Sagasa joining us in the comms box. So, Aidan, how about you introduce him in, and we'll ask him some questions of the race that just occurred.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Braden, welcome to you tonight, mate. It was a night that would have been pretty full on around this track in this car. 2 good results for you, and got the job done on Guy Leach at the end there and forced him into a mistake to get that podium, get that second place there in the final race, mate. Great racing by you from 1-9 tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was just all about survival, especially that first lap on the second heat. Yeah, I think all my ARCA experience helped me get through that one. That was scary at the least. It was, yeah. I'm just glad I got through it and happy to give 1-9 a good result.
Well, mate, you had a good result in round number 1. I believe you had some solid results there from memory. Correct me if I'm wrong. Good solid start to the season, especially around Long Beach, mate. Whether you're fast or you're not fast, it can go wrong very quickly. So, as you just mentioned, you've got to be very, very, very happy with coming away with a good chunk of championship points heading into round number 3.
100%, yeah. I just wanted to survive this race. I knew Glenn had a lot of pace in that first race, so you know there was no point trying to make a stupid move and ruin both our races. So I'm just happy we were able to have a good race, and yeah, same with that second race. It was a good battle with Guy. Unfortunate, you know, just it's so easy to lock the rears in these cars, and you know, just slightly too hard on the brake pedal, and you know, that's all she wrote.
Yeah, we saw that a couple of times, well, not a couple of times tonight, quite often with a couple of cars falling into that trap with a bit of rear brake locking and having a few incidents. I'm just looking at the timing. You actually did the quickest lap of the race there in the feature race by 2 seconds quicker than Brett Parker, your race winner. I was saying midway through the broadcast, if you could just get that job done on Leach, you might have been able to drag Brett Parker back in. Do you think that was the case? How did you feel that went? Obviously, it's a hard track to make positions, but you definitely did a great job and had a lot of pace.
Yeah, thank you. I think what Brett was doing was really smart. I think he was just being conservative. He wasn't pushing. He had no need to push. I think if I got past Guy and he saw me catching, I think he would have just maybe put the foot a little bit harder on the throttle. I think he was just being really conservative in the end. And I knew at the end he did a 14.7. I think the rest of the race he was doing 15, high 15, I think. Oh no, sorry, low 15.
Yeah,
so I
generally
think
race pace was around that, mate. You're about correct, yeah.
Yeah, I think he was just being conservative. You know, he's a smart driver. That's all you had to do. And he survived and he got the win. And, you know, congrats to Brett on that one.
Well, Daniel, over to you, mate. Have a bit of a chat with Braden if you want to. Any questions as we go through them? We're watching the highlights now, Braden, of you battling during the race. Anything you want to chat to Braden about?
Oh, look, mate, just the one question here. So, as you were following these, so there was Stuart Ellis earlier on in the race, and of course Guy at the end. What was your primary tactic in getting past these drivers? What I was saying on the broadcast was, based on what I was watching, is that you weren't looking for desperate moves. You weren't looking for that crazy inside cut. You were looking to try and make the presence of your car as large as possible in their mirrors to try and force a mistake. Is that somewhat as to what it is that you were trying to accomplish?
100% spot on. That, you know, just took the words right out of my mouth. That was perfect. Yeah, when go to the Stewart overtake, he locked up right into this corner here. It was just trying to force a mistake, because making a move around here is so dangerous. You don't want to, you know, you don't want to take out both cars. It's just a silly move. So it was just about trying to force a mistake.
I remember if it was this one. Yeah, no, that was the original one, I believe, where he touches the wall. So it wasn't that one, which means it was probably this one, I think.
Yeah, it probably was this one. Yeah, it was just about filling the mirrors. I saw him lock up, so you just
there it is
had
there,
to
yeah.
put the inside. Yeah, just like that. That's all you had to do around this track. Since you have walls either side of you waiting to attack, you just got to fill the mirrors and just hope they make a mistake.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought was the case. It was just one of those things where it's just not worth trying to squeeze your car when there's concrete walls on either side. It's just a matter of trying to put the pressure on, getting the driver in front to make a mistake, and then it's just an easy way through. So I'm glad to be vindicated. I'm glad that I was on the money with that one.
Yeah, well done, mate.
Yeah, we were talking about that all the way through the broadcast, and it's exactly how that played out, mate. But Braden, second place here for the feature race, bucket load of points in round number 2 at Long Beach. Big shout out, mate. You're not running the 1-9 livery in the Radicals, so
No, it's not.
But mate, second place tonight. You happy with that? Ag load of points going into round number 3. Before we wrap it up, before we go across to the GT4s at Phillip Island here on the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club streams, mate, a big shout out to everyone that made it possible for you.
Yeah, 100%. It was, of course, the MX Raps guys. They've been sponsoring us for a while, and just glad to have them on board. Unfortunately, we don't have a livery for the Radical, so just waiting for one to pop up. But yeah, and all the 1-9 boys as well. They've continuous support. They were in the chat, rooting me on, and just glad to have all the boys around. And I think some of the boys are doing GT4s tonight, so watch out for, I think, Jake and Sam.
No doubt they'll be quick, mate. Sam Muir and Jake, they're always quick, and podiums in the first round. I think Sam Muir got a podium in the first round, possibly a win, I can't remember. But mate, the 1-9 guys are going really well here early doors in the championship across both these series. So Braden, thanks for your time tonight, mate. Big congratulations on your P2, and we'll start wrapping this one up before we head across and have a little bit of a break before we go to the GT4s at Phillip Island here on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club stream. But Braden, big congratulations again, mate, and hopefully we see you up on the podium next week here for round number 3.
Thank you guys. You guys have a good night.
Well, there we go, Daniel, mate. What a night. It's just started. We're halfway through, mate. Round number 2 of the Radicals here at Long Beach, and it was Brett Barker, Braden Sagasa and Stuart Ellis taking out your top 3 here for the feature race. Of course, we're going to take this opportunity to just give a big shout out to the sponsors before we just go quiet for a little bit, before we go to the GT4s here on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club streams. Of course, as I said, it's going to be from none other than the famous Phillip Island circuit, but Orbic, of course, will be the major sponsor for the GT4s coming up. Waste Options, Flash Graphics, loginsystems.com.au, Player One Sim Gear, M-Wave and Low Z Racing. But from myself, Daniel and everyone at GSRC, we'll go quiet for just a little bit before we bring you all the action for the GT4s at Phillip Island. Again, it was Brett Barker, Braden Sagasa, Stuart Ellis, Guy Leach, Richard Mayer, rounding out your 5 for the feature race here. Round number 2, race number 2 of the Radicals at Long Beach. We'll talk to you shortly. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. It was a short stopover, but we're back. We have gone from the United States at Long Beach, California, and we're here now at Phillip Island for the GT4s here for round number 2 of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club series. Daniel, mate, it was definitely great there in the Radicals, but we're coming across here for the GT4s. They're into qualifying. 3 minutes to go. It's going to be a great night of racing. 40 minutes around what is one of the most famous tracks here in Australia. The track configuration, as you can see, is the full configuration. We're here in Australia, as I've said, Phillip Island, down in Victoria. City is coast. Track length 4.41 kilometres. The track temperature tonight will be the air temperature will be 26 degrees Celsius. We're at an altitude of 48 metres. Of course, myself, Aidan Schultz, in the booth with Daniel Correa-Sarr, and we're ready to go 40 minutes of GT4 racing here for the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. You can see Jake Jackson on your screen. It is a 1-9 lockout at the moment, 1-2 in qualifying, as we bring up the tower on your left-hand side to let you know where your favourite driver is. But Sam Muir, you can see, leading the way at the moment in qualifying, a 1:34.150, and Jake Jackson, the man on your screen, currently in second with a 1:34.4 in second position. Mikey Hammertime Hammond, what a qualifying from him, up into third, 1:34.6. And then we see the tight times behind Gary Cousins in fourth and Richard King, your fifth. But, mate, we come out of Radicals around Long Beach, the concrete jungle. We go on to one of the best racetracks in Australia, no concrete, in the GT4s. How good is this? I'm looking forward to this one. 40 minutes of GT4 racing around Phillip Island.
Yeah, mate, Phillip Island, obviously a staple in Australian motorsport and a big fan favourite all across the continent. Always delivers good racing, no matter what the car combo. So GT4s will be no exception. We're used to the chaos that comes here with Porsche Cup. And so I can only imagine that with the GT4s, we're going to see some remnants of that chaos. Sam Muir, of course, currently on provisional pole, a 1:34.149 for the 19 MX Raps Racing driver. I wonder if he's going to go on a hot lap. I might jump on board and see if he'll go around for another flying lap as we travel around this circuit. It's obviously down the main straight into the first turn. Catches a lot of people out. You see a plume of smoke from the car ahead. Just like that. If you have a look on the left-hand side of your screen, that's what I was talking about. Very easy to run wide. You got to modulate your throttle. Maybe apply a little bit of brake. Most people don't, but it's a safety precaution. And that'll get you through turn 1 fine. Then you've got the horseshoe there, the southern loop, turn 2. And then we move down towards turn 3, Stoner corner. That's pretty much flat all the way. Brake at the 100. In preparation for Miller corner, turn 4. Nice and easy going on the exit. Use a little bit of that apron on the left-hand side. Then you move down towards turns 5 and 6, Siberia, as it's called, the left-hand loop. Nice use of the exit there. I'm not sure if he's going to get a tow from the Aston Martin in front, but maybe if he gets closer, he'll be able to. Through 7, through 8, up the hill, turn 9, Lukey Heights. It transfers from going up to going down. Then you've got to be careful of the brake. Very easy to lock up because you've got that added force on the front of the car. Gravity assists you as you move into MG. Turn 10, nice and tight on the inside. Then you extend and try and keep it nice and tight on the inside of turn 11. Then you want to plant the foot down. You don't want to go too hard because it's kind of similar to turn 1. And Samuel will cut me off there by not finishing the lap. He'll come into the pits as qualifying is over. But you would extend that left-hander, carry all the speed out, and then you would cross the line, and that is a flying lap here at Phillip Island.
And what a way to say that, mate. What a commentary there on a flying lap around Phillip Island. Anyone would think you'd done a lap or two around here.
I've definitely done a lap. I haven't done it fast.
Well, you and me both, mate. Like, that's why we're in the commentary booth, to be honest. We're out of luck. We don't get a run, but No, it's all right. But on board with Gary Cousins is currently sitting in the 4th position as qualifying is just about to round its way out, and we'll bring up your grid here for round number 2 of the GT4s here at Phillip Island on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. It will be, as we bring up the starters now, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself.
Unfortunately, I've just got to wait because iRacing does iRacing things, and so until the session is officially finished, I cannot bring the results up. So I've got to wait until it times out.
I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but we can talk about that before we bring up the starting positions. Miller Corner used to be Honda. We had a little bit of a conversation before we come onto the broadcast. It's now Miller Corner. We were both thinking, isn't it Honda? But they've changed it apparently. So
yeah,
there you go. We might be 6 months behind the times. But
yeah, I'm not sure why that's the case. But if anybody's watching and they know as to why it was changed to Miller Corner, let us know.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Shout out here on the streams of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, whether it be through YouTube, Facebook, or wherever it may be. Jump in, and we like everyone to communicate with us here on the broadcast as well, so jump in and be a part of it. But here's your starting grid here for round number 2 of the Orbic Australia GT4 Challenge. It will be Sam Muir from 1-9 MX Raps Racing off the pole position. Jake Jackson, his teammate, will be on the outside of the front row in P number 2. Mikey Hammond out of 3, and Gary Cousins will start out of P number 4. Richard King will be out of number 5 tonight, with Paul Wood starting out of P number 6. Nick Fodiatis, his teammate, will start out of P number 7, and Dale Sharp out of P number 8. Reese Gosner and Neil McKenzie will round out your 10 from Downshift Racing. Joshua Robinson out of 11 and Rob Hill out of 12. Joe Baldwin out of 13. Lachlan Hewitt will start out of your 14th position tonight. Pete Matto-Matson out of the 15th position, with Grant Gill out of 16th. David Christensen starting out of your 17th position tonight, with Phillip Butler out of 18th. Simon Clapham out of 19th, and Matthew Brunt out of 20. Your 21st starting position tonight will be Christopher Lee, and rounding out your 22 starters will be Robert McGrath, sitting there in the 140 car. So Daniel, mate, rolling start, a little bit different to what we've seen earlier tonight around Long Beach and the Radicals. A little bit of a different, obviously GT3 or GT4s rather. That is what we do, and it's a rolling start, so a little bit different. It will be an MX Raps 1912 off the starting grid as they make their way over Lukey Heights and getting ready to take the green here for round number 2.
Not sure to be worried or not, because as we get the start rolling, there are 2 cars missing on the grid. One of them is Matt Schmidtke, and the other one is Matthew Dench.
Wow, big player there.
I don't know what's happening there. We'll see if we can get some form of information. But in any case, he will not take the starting grid. So we'll be down the 2 drivers, 22. As we see Samuel going around the outside here, we switch to the start line camera. The safety car is in, and it looks like the green flag will wave any moment now. There they are, as they cross the start line, and we get this 40-minute race underway. It seems very clean so far as they make their way to turn 2.
And Sam Muir making a big beeline down to the outside of the track before he makes his way down into turn number 1 and 2. But Paul Wood here on your screen as he makes his way up the inside. Joshua Robertson trying to make a move. Oh, as he nearly gets back into the back of the car, rather, in front of him. So all clean and pedestrian as they make their way through lap number 1 of this 40-minute race here on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, making their way down into Miller Corner, a hard braking section. You can see behind, moves being made. We're 3 wide. Mercedes on the outside, and they get through there cleanly as they make their way through Siberia for the first time tonight, mate.
So a clean start from everybody. It looks like car number 10, that is the McLaren of Lachlan Hewitt, was involved going on an off track there, so he has dropped to the back of the grid, P22 for him. 8 positions down from the start of that race. But there's 40 minutes in this one, so plenty of time to gather. Currently on board with Joe Trucker Baldwin, P11, chasing down Reese Gosner there in P10. And as I said earlier, a nice clean start from everyone. So now everyone's going to just line up into their procession and allow the drivers ahead to do all the work as they move forward. And then once the pit strategies start to come into effect, we'll start to see some harder racing.
Yeah, and I'll mention the pit strategies. I know we're early doors. Oh, as the car's off on the outside there, at the exit of the final turn, that was Reese Gosner getting a little bit wide as Joe Trucker Baldwin tries to make the move down into turn number 1. Is he going to get that job done? He does. So, unfortunate there, a little bit of an off track, but he keeps going around. But, mate, I just want to reference the little bit of strategy with fuel. I think more so around Phillip Island, and we spoke about this last week at round number 1. The fuel strategy was very, very, very. I think we saw. Who was it? We saw someone. Fuel strategy is going to be a big thing around Phillip Island. I was getting confused on my words, but I think with the draft, especially down the long front straight here at Phillip Island, I don't know if there's a headwind or anything like that, but fuel strategy is going to play a part. If you can save just that little bit of fuel, it'll help you out. But as we saw last week, I was wrong on that as well. So we'll see how that goes. But Mikey Hammond on board with him at the moment. So he started out of the 3rd position and he's in behind the 1.9 MX Graphics cars of Sam Muir and Jake Jackson. So Sam Muir, Jake Jackson and Mikey Hammertime Hammond, your 3 as they make their way through the final turn on lap number 2 down the Gardner Straight here. 3 minutes into 40, a long time to go. We have Porsche 1, 2, 3, Mercedes 4th, Porsche 5th, Mercedes 6th. The first BMW of the night is in 7th, and that is Dale Sharp. But good clean start by everyone here, mate, for the Orbic GT4 series here at Phillip Island as someone just goes off in the background, mate.
Yeah, that's Trucker Baldwin. Just went a little too hot into turn 1. Luckily didn't take anyone out. Nice and easy transition across the track. So unfortunately we'll drop down to P18 now as Matthew Brunt manages to grab him there. So an unfortunate one. Bit of an off-track adventure, but sure we'll be able to bring it back over the course of the race.
Yeah, like we said, it's 40 minutes. He'll just reset. Just got a little bit wide there. Looks like he's just trying a little bit hard at the moment. So Joe will just want to rein that one in a little bit and try and recover from what was an unfortunate start. But he'll be there or thereabouts as we come to the back end of the race. On board now with Richard King, the first of the Mercedes, making his way through Lukey Heights for the 3rd time of asking. And he is following Mikey Hammond. And he's actually looking pretty quick. He's up 1 position. He's just ranging on the back of this lead battle at the moment. So keep an eye on Richard King. Looking pretty quick in that Mercedes. He's got Gary Cousins in behind him in the Ferrari. And Paul Wood in behind him in 6th position as well. So there's your first 4 as they make their way down Gardner Straight for the 4th time tonight. It is Muir, Jackson, Hammond, King and Cousins as they go into turn number 1. We've got a message from Race Control. Under investigation, there is an incident involving car 256, Joshua Robinson, and car 09, Joe Baldwin on lap 3. So I think that might have been what we just caught on the screens, but that Merc, mate, looking very racy there in 4th position early on in this one.
It is. Richard King usually manages to put decent results there on the board. I'm just wondering, cogs in my head are turning, and I'm curious, watching Sam Muir run at the front there, he set the fastest lap of the race. Let's go around 1:34.90. And Jake Jackson, his teammate, seems to be consistently running 1 to 2 tenths slower than Sam Muir out front.
Just be
tinfoil
sitting
hat.
there in the draft, I'd
Yeah,
suggest,
tinfoil
mate.
hat on. Is this on purpose? Is Jake Jackson running slightly slower to allow Sam Muir to gain a substantial gap early on in the race, which allows him to block Hammond and in turn King. That'll allow King to catch up to Hammond if that is indeed the case. The only reason I'm not too sure on that theory is because Hammond is 1 second behind. So if Jake was trying to slow him down, Hammond's not taking advantage of the stream there. So not too sure on it, but I take that back. Jake Jackson just set the fastest lap, 1:34.8. So no, that is not what's happening. Jake was just going slower at the start of the race. Yeah.
And we do have a 10-second penalty here from car 256, Joshua Robinson, bad rejoin. So we'll go back to the replay and see what happened with Joshua Robinson here down into turn number 1. He's going to have a bit of an incident by the looks of it. He does, and...
Oh, right. Yeah, so okay, I see what's happened there. So, yeah, he's gone off the track, joined back at speed, and unfortunately what that's done is, but Joe's seen him join the track at speed, thinking he's going to drift across. Joe's taken evasive action, and that's what's caused him to go off track. So, yep, completely understand that one from race control.
Yep, unfortunate there for Josh, and he's got a long race back, but it is a 40-minute race, and we do have race control in the booth again. Josh, mate, do you have a copy? Obviously, unfortunate there for the unsafe rejoin, but unfortunately it happens, and rules are rules, Macca, and that's what happens. But Josh has plenty of opportunities to come back in this one.
Yeah, how are you guys? Yeah, so that one was a bit unfortunate. That angle didn't quite show how bad it was, but Josh actually rejoined at speed and then proceeded to drift out wide. So Joe just had to open up the wheel and drove off. So, yep, 1 second penalty.
Yeah, that's all right, mate. There you go. Sorry, Daniel, you go, mate.
Oh, no, I was just saying, yeah, it's just a rough one there. It looked like, it's just one of those things. As a racing driver, you don't want to give up any time, so you run wide. And again, I've mentioned this, I must sound like a broken record at this point, I do apologise, but the iRacing update did allow you to be able to drive on surfaces like grass and gravel. Grass doesn't slow you down as much as sand or gravel would, but the ability to be able to recover and not just go sliding off into the ether is great, and you don't want to give up time at all. So you just keep your foot planted and you rejoin, but you do have to be mindful you are off the racing surface, and if you are off the racing surface, that means it is your responsibility to rejoin back onto the racing surface safely and predictably, as to not affect the racing of the other drivers. So unfortunate on that one. Josh goes off, he comes back on at speed and then proceeds to drift across, as Josh mentioned in race control, and so yeah, we'll get a penalty for that one. Just needs to be a little bit more mindful.
And Josh Robertson, the driver that we're talking about, he's still up 1 position on the starting conditions. He's all right, he'll reset, he'll keep going, and he does have a little bit of penalty to serve, but he'll be okay as they make their way up over Lukey Heights. We're on board with Pete Matson. Onboard's brought to you, of course, by Orbic. Have a look at these shots here on the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club. Peter Matson all over the back of Grant Gill and Robert Hill. So they make their way through the final 2 turns and down Gardner Straight. Will Pete Matson have a little bit of a look here? We're now nearly 10 minutes, so we're nearly quarter of the way through the race already. How quick has that gone, Daniel? Quarter of the way through the race here for round number 2 of the GT4s at Phillip Island, and it is Pete Matson all over the back of Grant Gill. We'll see how that one goes, whether Pete wants to make a move as he goes real wide. I think commentator's curse is going to happen again here, mate. I think that's happening as Pete Matson gets a good run up the inside there, and he's going to get the job done. So Pete Matson got the move done on Grant Gill, and now he's going to have Bob Hill right in front of him as well. So Grant Gill now under pressure from David Christensen. He's going to try and get the job done down.
Oh, he has cooked that!
There's a big crash, and there's the commentator.
Oh, no, he has cooked that so hard. Now, that actually goes all the way back to the previous one. So the reason why Matto managed to make the move is because Grant Gill went a little too hot into turn 2, had to go out wide, rejoined, and was all okay. But then he has completely messed up that braking zone. We'll go back. We'll have a look at that. Just have a look here. On car. Brakes, and there's the lockup. Now, unfortunately, he does go into the back of car 26, which is Rob Hill there. And so I'm sure race control will have something to say about that. But yeah, that is a really unfortunate one there for the McLaren driver.
Yeah, 100%. Unfortunate for Grant there. We don't want to throw him under the bus, but that was not a very nice thing that we like to see, but we all make mistakes. But let's go back to the motor race under investigation. Incident involving car 304, as we've got Joe Baldwin in another incident there down over Lukey Heights and into Honda. So we'll have a look at that one as the McLaren tries to make a move down
No, he
the
does.
inside.
He does get touched. I was just wondering if he got tapped by the Mercedes there, and he does. Yeah, and there's some damage there on the rear quarter panel. So unfortunate one there for Trucker.
Joe Baldwin with an unfortunate start to this motor race. He's had everything go wrong, so unfortunate there for Joe. Again, we can see coming across this screen, 10-second penalty, car 304, Grant Gill, incident with car 26, Rog Hill, on lap 7. On board with Josh Robertson, the one that had an incident a little bit earlier on. He's got a little bit of a penalty to pay for that one, but he's up into the 10th position. So this is a battle for your 10th, 9th and 8th position. That's Nick Bodiatis and Reese Gosner in front of him. So we'll, I tell you what, mate, it's definitely all been happening. We're only 12.5 minutes into 40, and the boys have got the elbows out early.
Yeah, look, it's the nature of a racing driver. You smell blood in the water, you pounce, right? Sometimes these opportunities present themselves, and you're not just going to let them get away. At the front end of town, Sam Muir still in the lead of this race. His teammate Jake Jackson, 0.8 of a second behind him. Mikey Hammond, 1.2 seconds down in P3. So it looks like the 1-9 boys are giving themselves a nice gap to the rest of the field. We'll see how much of a gap that maintains once we get to pit strategies and pit windows. And then, of course, Richard King there in P4, about a second, 1.2 behind Mikey Hammond. So some gaps forming. The closest battle is the one on your screen. Joshua Robertson chasing down Nick Fodiatis there, going a little heavy into turn 2, which is very easy to do. See, this is the thing about Phillip Island. This is why it's so good. It's because the track layout lends itself to you making these tiny mistakes. You come around the corner, you've got the steering input, and you're like, yeah, I can make it. I can take that speed. And then all of a sudden the back of the car is like, no, we're going on an excursion. So as the tyre wear starts to come down and you start to get more and more pressure and fatigue sets in over the course of the 40 minutes, you start to see more and more of those mistakes. You're right in the sense that it's a little bit surprising that you're seeing a lot more of it at the early end, but it's Phillip Island. I don't know, people just seem to go harder here than they do at other tracks, and where we get all the benefit.
Well, it's a staple of Australian motorsport, and what a great track it is, and it creates great racing, and that's exactly what you're seeing tonight as the AMG there of Robertson gets really loose over Lukey Heights. But this battle's heating up a little bit between Nick Fodiatis and Reese Gosner. So Rick is all over the back of Reese as he makes his way down through the final turn. And it's exactly what we come to expect here at Phillip Island. Of course, it is definitely separated at the front. Of course, Muir, Jackson and Hammond have sort of extended the gap at the front, but for the mid-pack at the moment, it's definitely still on. 15 minutes into 40, Nick Fodiatis, does he have anything for Reese Gosner in front? Just having a look at lap times though last time around, if we go through your first 10, 134.804 is the best for Sam Muir. Last time round, 135.1, 134.8 last time round for Jake Jackson. So he's sitting just half a second off the lead of the motor races. We're still on board with Nick Fodiatis just chasing down the 8th position at the moment. 135.1 for Mikey Hammond, 135.6 and pretty much 135 mids all the way down into the 10th. So the first 3 are pretty much gone and gapped, but this mid-pack is a good little race as we're on board with Dale Sharp trying to chase down Paul Wood at the moment now. So Dale Sharp now on screen, Sharp Sim Racing. He is right behind Paul Wood. So Paul Woodsy Wood in the Mercedes, doing a good job at the moment. He's started out of 6th position. He's in 6th position. Dale Sharp up 1. This is the battle for 6 in the motor race at the moment as they make their way down Gardner Straight as we're 16 minutes into 40. So we'll keep an eye on that little battle as Dale Sharp's ranging right up onto the back of Mercedes there into turn number 1. And he's just going to think a little bit better of it at the moment. He's a little bit far back, but he's going to possibly, if he can get a good run, try and make a move on Woodsy as they make their way down into Miller Corner. What a good livery that is, the old Mobil 1 livery there, Daniel, and on the BMW. How good does that look?
Yeah, it's a very striking livery with the Ryco across the front bumper there, and of course the GSRC logo just low there. Just going back to the what you were saying before through turn 1, one of the issues that drivers can get plagued with is tunnel vision, where you're following through a high-speed corner and you're focusing on the car ahead of you instead of the track. And what that tends to do, naturally your body will go where your eyes are pointing. So one of the things that they teach you when it comes to racing fast is always look ahead. Always look ahead. Look at the apexes. Look at the exits. Your car, you will point the car naturally to where you're looking. And so on a track like Phillip Island, with a fast right-hander for the first turn, you want to make sure that you're doing that and not looking at the car ahead, because if the car ahead goes off, so are you. So anytime you are going well and truly close to the car ahead and moving down the main straight, you have to be very wary that you're not subconsciously looking at the car ahead rather than the track, which I've seen multiple times here, and we might even see at some point today, because it's a very easy thing to do and it'll cost you time. So being a little safe going into the first turn is probably for the better, because if you can maintain your line and the car ahead of you does go off, you're going to be able to carry way more speed here through, just like that. Just like that.
You go.
So, yes, so Paul Wood just going well on the outside. Dale Sharp watching the apex of the corner. He doesn't follow the car ahead, and he manages to make 2 positions there as Mikey Hammond drops back to P6.
Yeah,
What was that about?
There, out of the 3rd position, dropped back into P6. We'll go back to the Orbic replay here on the General Sim Racing Club. We'll see what happened with Mikey Hammond.
He's drifting.
He's got, a little bit of rear brake locking there, and he's gone onto the grass, and he's just tried to get it back on. He's done a good job, but after being in P3 in this one, he's not going to be happy with that one, but I tell you who will be. It'll be Dale Sharp in the Mobil 151 there as they make their way up through Lukey Heights for lap number 12. We're nearly half race distance at the moment, mate. How quick has this gone? Gary Cousins, we're on board at the moment. This is a battle for 3rd and 4th. So Gary all over the back of Richard King. Gary last time around a 135.695 to a 135.653. So nothing between these two drivers as they make their way down Gardner Straight. And this is the battle for 3rd and 4th. But mate, we're halfway through the motor race. How good is this? But you make a good point there with where your eyes are is where your hands are going to go. I've done some driver training in the real world, and albeit I'm slow on a sim, but mate, you're exactly right in what you're saying. Where your eyes are going is where your hands are going to go, and then you need to control your feet at the same time. So good job there between Mikey Hammond, I believe it was, and Wood with that incident. But this is a battle for 4th and 3rd. Is Cousins going to make a move down into Miller? He's not at the moment. He gets it through the apex, nice in the 58, gets a good exit as they make their way up into the next section of corners. Looks like King at the moment, he's doing really good on exit. So Cousins has a lot more drive on the entry corner. We can see that, and there is a bit of aero rather. As you can see there, really good drive on entry, a little bit of aero through the mid corner, and then under braking, he'll be pretty strong here through the entry of the corner. So we'll see whether Cousins can get the run on King as they make their way around the final 2 turns here at Phillip Island. So difference of cars too. So the Merc very heavy across the rear, and the Porsche totally different driving car. You can see the 2 Porsches off into the distance. The MX Wraps, 1.9 cars off into the distance, but 2 very different cars here, and the way they drive down into turn number 1 for the battle for the final step on the podium at the moment as we're 20 minutes in. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club, we would have a pit stop, I would suggest, tonight, like we did last night. So we've got all that to worry about as well. And your top 5's Muir, Jackson, King and Cousins. So fuel strategy and when they're going to pit's going to be a big player in this one as well, mate, as we're now well over halfway in the race, and this battle for 3rd and 4th is definitely heating up.
I might jump in here as well. I don't know if someone needs to DM Denchi, but Christmas is in 82 days. He's given everyone gifts. He's by not racing, you know. So, yeah, that's opened up the top step of the podium where he's normally on there. So, very nice of him.
Yeah, he's.
Well, we saw last week. Sorry, Daniel. We saw last week. He actually was going really well as this battle is definitely heating up as they make their way down through Honda again. We saw last week that Denchi actually didn't have it his own way. He didn't get the win and was up there in the first 4, but didn't get the win, if my memory serves me correctly.
That's correct. Yep.
So, yeah, not only did he not do as good as he'd usually do, and I know that's really bad to be able to come in the top 5. I'd love to do that, let alone saying that he didn't do as good as he usually do. He hasn't been able to connect with this one, so he's given him a little bit of a free kick here at round 2. So we'll see what happens next week with Denchi, but it looks like that Cousins is just falling a little bit off the back of Richard King at the moment, so we'll just keep an eye on this battle. But let's have a look at some of the other bigger movers and shakers as we're well over halfway into this race on the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club streams, as King goes a little bit deep there into Miller. I keep wanting to call it Honda, but Miller. Some of the biggest movers and shakers. Robbie McGrath, up 11 positions, started out at 22nd. We'll just go back and have a look at him if you don't mind, Daniel. He's up 11 positions, so no pressure in front of him at the moment on board with Robbie McGrath, another Mercedes in the SP Tools entry. He's up 11 positions out of the 22nd, so he's doing a great job, currently lapping in the 136 flats, around about half a second off the cars in front, but a good drive there by him early on in this one.
Yeah, Matty Brunt also P10, up 10 positions from the start of this race, so not doing too bad himself. Biggest loser there would be Mikey Hammond, down 12 at the moment. However, that is because he pit in lap 14. So we have a couple of people that have already come in for their pit stops. The rest of the field yet to do so, and we are down 5 drivers from the start of this race. There were 24 at service start. Matthew Dench and Matt Schmidtke did not take the starting grid, so 22 did take the starting grid, and we are now down to 3 of those. So 19 left on the track with Reece Gosner in P19.
Yeah, and this battle is still heating up between Gary Cousins and Richard King. Is Gary going to want to make a move down here in the middle? It looks like he is. Oh, he just feints a little bit and thinks better of it as they make their way through the corner. So Gary definitely looking racy and wanting to make a move there, but thought better of it there through Miller. And they'll make their way through Siberia up into Lukey Heights now. So this battle for 3rd and 4th is definitely heating up. The 58 Bailey's ladders over Richard King in the Mercedes. I'm not sure what's going to happen here, whether they're going to want to make a move. At the same time, Gary could possibly want to just try and utilise a bit of fuel here and try and do the undercut into the pit stop down into the hairpin here. So this battle's definitely raging up. They've got a little bit of a gap on Dale Sharp as well. As there we go. So Gary Cousins has blinked early and he's decided, okay, I'm going in the pit lane. I don't want a part of this. I want to try and get in the pit stop. So Gary Cousins into pit lane out of P4 in this motor race, 25 minutes into 40.
Yeah, it was the safer option. These cars, they don't slow up as nice as something like a GT3 would. So it's very it's very risky to try and do a harsh inside dive. It's not impossible. You can definitely do it, but you have to be very, very mindful when you do, because it's very easy to overcook the tyres, as we saw Grant Gill do earlier in the race. So you want to take the safer line. If you know the pit windows are coming up, why take the risk? Just fall in line, try and get a little bit of fuel saving, come in, see if the undercut works. In the case of Gary Cousins, he's obviously back on track now, so he'll be looking to... Who was it that he was chasing? Richard King. So Richard King will come in the next couple of laps, and we'll see if the undercut does work in Gary Cousins' favour. As we just watched the battle on screen now, Josh Robertson chasing down Nick Fodiatis. Neither of these drivers have pit yet, so they'll be looking to do the same, most likely this lap or in the upcoming laps.
And Josh Robertson does have a little bit of a penalty, I believe, that he does need to serve from early on in the race. So he is trying to make his way back through the field as he ranges up on the back of Nick Fodiatis at the moment. So he's going to want to just keep going around, try and navigate his way around and get a couple of positions if he can, with 27 minutes now into 40. So already only 13 minutes to go. We're going to see the pit strategies play out in front of us here on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club streams very quickly in the next 5 or 6 minutes, as there's a car just getting out of the way on the inside of Gardner Straight there. Oh, as there's nearly a bit of contact down the main straight, as Robertson is looking very racy in behind Nick Fodiatis here. So Robertson's going to want to try and make as many moves as he can to try and eliminate whatever penalty he does have. So a little bit wide there, following the car in front. We did say earlier, you've got to keep your eyes on where you want the car to go, but we're going to go down into Miller. There's going to be a great passing opportunity down here. Is he going to want to send it on the 99 of Fodiatis? We're about to find out. Fodiatis just positions his car correctly, and he can't get that one done there, but he's looking very racy there. Josh Robertson in behind Nick. So we'll see whether Josh wants to get the job done, or whether he blinks early and decides to do his pit stop early.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Not too sure what kind of strategies these guys are after. I'd imagine they'd pit at the same time. I'm not a betting man, because I don't have money to do so. But if I did, I'd say they're probably going to pit in at the same time. Josh is most likely, playing a little bit of follow the leader, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if they come in on this lap, actually. Nick will come around the corner. Let's see, does he correct?
No.
No,
Josh is
but
going.
Josh did.
Josh is
Okay.
the first to blink. Josh is the first to blink, so
So
he's
they will
decided
stay
to come in. But this will be interesting to watch here, Daniel, to see what happens here with the undercut. So is he going to get in and out quicker and get some clear track, and to be able to get the first 2 laps out on the track quick, and to be able to undercut Fodiatis? He does have a penalty to play out, so he's going to need everything he can to be able to get some points here. But on board with Gary Cousins in the 10th position in the Porsche. It is a Porsche lockout at the front. Sam Muir and Jake Jackson, an absolute class above the field at the moment. But Gary Cousins now on the on the pit stop strategies, now moves his way up into the 8th position last lap around, laying down a 135.4, and the leaders a 135 flat for Sam Muir and a 135.5 for Jake Jackson. But back with a Wood here, and Paul Wood all over the back of Mikey Hammertime Hammond, who's had an absolute night of it. He's been doing good. But we'll see whether he's going to make a move down here into Miller. Mikey's going to position his car. No, he's not. So no move there at the moment. So erring on the side of caution, and great driving there, as Paul Wood is all over the back of Mike Hammond. So making their way through Siberia this time. This is a battle for the end of the top 10 of the motor race. Of course, a big shout out to all the sponsors here on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Of course, we've got login systems. We need to do a shout out. I'm going to just take a chance here, Daniel, to do a shout out to all the sponsors. Of course, we've got login systems, Flash Graphics, M-Wave, Waste Options, everyone. So we'll go through them as they're down there. So there you go, Flash Graphics, big supporter of Gentleman Sim Racing Club, M-Wave there as well. Orbic, the big supporter and the main supporter here of the GT4s, for the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Big shout out to Orbic. Waste options, flexible, credible, and fair. Exactly they are. Jump onto them. Load G Racing, big thank you to you guys. If it's not for these sponsors, we don't go racing. Player One Sim Gear, for all your sim gear, hop onto p1simgear.com.au as there's a big incident through turn number 1. They always do it when I'm trying to do the commentary on the on the sponsors, mate. But a big incident there as we go back through the replay as Paul Wood down into turn number 1 just gets back.
Yeah, he just carried too much speed there. Actually touches the Porsche in front of Mikey Hammond, and yeah, that's a problem there. Unfortunate for him. He goes off the track. And
I tell you what, I've had a night for it, mate. I've had a night for it, haven't I?
Yeah, you definitely have. And another thing to just point out there, with that altercation there, is that it was Richard King coming out of the pits as Paul Wood and Mikey Hammond were coming around. And if you have a look, Richard King is currently P7 and Gary Cousins is P5. So the undercut worked in Gary Cousins' favour. He has overtaken King on track. And King now has a Porsche between himself and Gary there in P5. Jake Jackson stayed out one extra lap to allow his teammate to come in. And so you can see there, Jake Jackson in the pits now. Sam Muir retakes the lead of this race. Dale Sharp will also come by. So he will most likely be... Dale Sharp just came into the pits. So Gary Cousins will most likely overtake Dale and Jake on pit road. I wonder if that's actually going to be the case. No. Jake Jackson just came out on track. So Gary Cousins will stay P3.
Yeah. Looks like the 1-9 guys are well and truly heads above the rest of the field tonight. They've definitely got their head in the game. But back to Matthew Brunt now. This is the battle for 12th and 11th. He's chasing down Daniel Christensen into turn number 1. So battle for 12th and 11th. The Mercedes now on the Mercedes. So Mercedes on Mercedes. Here we go. First time tonight we've seen Mercedes on Mercedes as they make their way down through turn number 2 and turn number 3. So Matthew Brunt getting a good run off the corner here. Is he going to have a little bit of a dive down in the Miller? He's probably a little bit too far back, but we'll see whether he does that. We're 33 minutes into 40, and this is a battle for 12th and 11th. Oh, very deep under the brakes there. Lucky to get that one stopped and through the apex, Matthew Brunt. But he's looking really racy behind Christensen at the moment. This is a nice little spicy battle in the mid-pack here for round number 2 of the GT4s from Phillip Island on the GSRC stream. So, mate, how good's tonight been? We started off with the Radicals around Long Beach. It was definitely interesting racing, and it was actually great to call with the 2 races. We come into the 40-minute race. We're now 34 minutes, only 6 minutes to go as we're looking at this battle. And it hasn't disappointed once again here on the GSR streams, has it not?
No, it's been really, really good. We usually have a great showing here from the Radicals just because of how fast they are, and the circuit selections have been great so far. And yeah, here at Phillip Island, again, Phillip Island usually always delivers a really good racing. It's Matthew Brunt trying to get down David Christensen here in P11. He's getting close throughout the lap, but then, as I was alluding to earlier, these cars they're heavy and they're hard to control if you want to go for a dive. So most of the time, it's safer to try and stick back a little bit and then hope that the guy in front of you makes a mistake and you just get a better exit. But as we do wind down, as you said, so we'll 5 minutes closing up now to the end of this race. I'm sure Matthew will try and get a little more aggressive into some of these corners. The closest battle at the moment on track here for P11. Richard King also closing in on Mikey Hammond there for P5, so we'll have a look at that a little bit later. And Matthew Brunt not able to do it through Miller Corner up into Siberia. And for now, we'll just stay behind the Bailey Ladders entry.
Yeah, he's trying really hard there, Matthew Brunt, to try and get up onto the back of Christensen. You can see there he's just overdriving it a little bit down into Miller, as I'm used to saying Honda, as I've said a million times in the broadcast so far. Overdriving it a little bit, but you can see through the high speed sections he's a lot quicker. struggling a little bit here through the change of directions. So we'll see whether he can get it done. He's just going to have to try and set it up. We did say in the radicals, we saw earlier with one of the drivers, Braden Sager, just putting his car into the blind spot and trying to get the guy to drive in his mirrors. So we're seeing this now with Matthew Brunt. He's trying to do the same thing, just trying to get Christensen into a mistake as they make their way down Gardner Straight into turn number 1. Is Christensen going to make a mistake? I'm sure that Brunt is going to try and set himself up to make a move into Miller as we're back with Richard King now. Richard King all over the back of Mikey Hammond. So this is the closest battle now as they make their way through Siberia. Richard King and Mikey Hammond. This is a battle for 6th and 5th, mate. We're 36 minutes into 40 minutes. It's definitely heating up. Here we go. Battle for the top 6 as we're about to go 2 wide through the hay shed and over Lukey Heights.
It's starting to really ramp up in terms of aggression. Richard right on the bumper of Hammond.
Oh, car off on the inside, on the outside. Ooh,
oh, that is,
sure
he was facing the wrong way. That was Simon Clapham there. Something serious has happened there, which we will just cut to, because this goes over. So what's going on here? He comes over Lukey Heights on the brakes. What happens? Does the back of the car snap out? So what's this?
Just bought the
Look at
marbles
this.
on the outside.
Hold on. Okay, so that was the
Wow,
previous lap. And then it's happened again.
The
So
marbles
down through
again,
here.
I think.
Yeah, and this time he's going a little more round. Oh, I was wondering why he was facing the other. There we go. Yep, just a casual U-turn, no biggie.
Yep, just U-turn down at your local IGA here at Phillip Island, mate. Yep, just do a U-turn. So back on at the battle here between Robinson now. So Robinson's ranged up on the back of this battle between King and Hammond. So it's on now for 7th, 6th and 5th. 2 Mercedes and a Porsche, as we've only got 2 minutes to go. But mate, it's definitely all playing out here and getting exciting. Muir, Jackson, Cousins and Sharp, your 4. Mikey, Hammer Time, Hammond, your 5th. But this battle here for Hammond, King and Robinson, it is definitely on. We've only got a lap or 2 left to go here for round number 2 at Phillip Island. Who's going to get the top 5 here, mate? It could be anyone's. Is it going to be a Mercedes? Is it going to be a Porsche?
The issue really is going to boil down to whether or not the speed can be carried through turn 2. So keep an eye on that yellow Porsche on your screen. That is Mikey Hammer Time Hammond. Currently currently P5 and leading this pack. Watch as he goes across the line into turn 1. You can see the white flag waving there on the left side of the screen. So we are on the last lap. And Mikey's going to come through here nice and fast. I'll jump on the roof for you so we can see this entire battle. Now the problem is the speed carried through 2. So he's going to take a nice tight line. The Mercedes is going to go a little wider. Josh Robertson carries more entry. I don't know if he's going to get the exit he was looking for. It doesn't seem like he's climbing. So the problem now is you really don't have that many more attack positions on the track. King could look at a dive. I wouldn't. It's very, very risky. So again, he's just going to try. See, now Josh tried to go faster and he cooked it, and that's the problem. So you try to make a more aggressive move like that, and the car doesn't like to respond, which is why it's so risky to do. And with the exit that Mikey Hammond's just got, I don't think they're going to be able to bring that back. I think Hammond's going to maintain that 5th position.
I think this battle is done. Let's jump back to the leaders as we're about to crown round number 2 race winner. It is Sam Muir. Have a look at him as he comes past in the final turn. Your winner for round number 2, race number 1. Well, obviously the only race tonight of the Orbic GT4s. It is an Porsche 1-2. Sam Muir and Jake Jackson in the 1-9s. It will be Gary Cousins coming home in P3. This battle keeps going as they make their way through the final turn. Dale Sharp, Mikey Hammer Time Hammond will hold on to 5th position over Richard King and Robertson there in your 7th position. I believe Robertson does have a penalty Reese Gosner here still battling for the minors in 16th position. He's right behind Rob Hill. He's going to want to have a little bit of a look here as they come on to the straight for the final time of asking. Will he have a go? He's trying to get there, but it looks like that Rob Hill's going to have enough in the 26 Barbecue Motorsports Australia, and that will be your 16th and 15th position here for round number 2 of the GT4s. Orbic GT4s at Phillip Island. Mate, 40 minutes. How good was that?
Yep, done and dusted. Another great 1-2 result there for the 1-9 boys. Pretty much perfection start to finish. They broke away on their own very early on, and they maintained that gap all the way through to the end of the race. And Sam Muir will take the majority points at the end there.
Yeah,
another one, good one there from Gary Cousins. Pulled off the undercut. Absolutely great. Up into P3. He'll finish with a strong points position there. Mikey Hammond dropping down to P5. Dale Sharp, another great mover there. I think at the end of it, he went up 4 positions from the start. So that really worked out for him as well. The big loser there would be, I believe, I want to say Lachlan Hewitt down 8 positions and Reese Gosling down 7.
Yeah, exactly. I believe... No, there wasn't Joe. Sorry, Joe Baldwin was not the one. My apologies. But that is round number 2 of your Orbic GT4 series here from Phillip Island on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club streams. We'll go through your finishing positions here. It was Sam Muir and Jake Jackson, which did have a 1-9 MX Wraps Racing lockout for first and second. Gary Cousins with a good pit strategy there, coming home in the 3rd position. We'll talk to those guys shortly here before we wrap up the broadcast. Dale Sharp and Mikey Hammond rounding out your 5. Richard King, Joshua Robertson, Paul Wood, Nick Photiitis and Neil McKenzie rounds out your 10. Matthew Brunt, David Christensen, Pete Maddo Matson, Joe Baldwin, Rob Hill, Reese Gosner, Grant Hill, Simon Flapham, Robert McGrath and Phil Butler coming home in your 20th position tonight. As we go across the page, I believe we might still have more. Yes, we do. Christopher Lee, unfortunately, 17 laps down tonight. Lachlan Hewitt, Matt Schmidtke and Matthew Dench did not take the starting line tonight. But mate, 2 races tonight, or 2 particular series tonight. We finished off with 40 minutes at Phillip Island. How good was that? Here on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, brought to you by Orbic, as we go and bring your top 3 place getters up into the broadcast booth, and we'll have a chat with them very shortly. We do have Jake Jackson up here at the moment. We won't talk to him at the moment. Sorry, Jake. We'll just wait and see whether Gary and Sam jump up. Sam is here. We'll just wait for Gary. But Daniel, mate, 40 minutes around Phillip Island. It didn't disappoint, but it was a 1-9 lockout at the front.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic race from everyone involved, especially those two boys. Basically, the repeat of last week. They went ahead last week at Indianapolis, and they did it again today. Great strategy. Managed to hold the gap out to P3, and yeah, look forward to talking to them in a short while, trying to get some insight into that good drive.
Well, we'll quickly have a chat with Pete Matson, because Pete, the treasurer of the club, coming home in 13th place tonight. We're just going to give a bit of time for Gary to jump up into the broadcast booth if he is going to make himself available. But Pete, mate, 13th position tonight. You've got to be happy with that one. 40 minutes around Phillip Island. It was a very interesting race. You've got to be happy with that one and come home with a solid P13.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, well done to the podium, but it was pretty hard to pass, to be honest. There's not a lot of grunt there, so yeah, you had to get in the draft and see if you could get round them. We had some really close racing to start with, which was good. So, and then it was just basically trying to hold position. So, yeah, no, it was excellent night.
Yeah, it looked pretty clean, apart from a couple of incidents that we generally see in any race. But it's interesting for you to say it was pretty hard to pass. Usually there's some opportunities to have a little bit of a dive here at Phillip Island. Those 1-9 guys were obviously very fast at the front, but mid-pack we saw some really good racing, and it's interesting to hear you say that it was a little bit hard to park. In the server being able to drive, but 13th place, mate, good. But I'd like to hear more about that.
Mate, it was hard to pass for me. So, I go for stability, so I'm running a 5-wing. So you get up behind the Mercedes, and they seem to just, you're not really, you haven't got enough power to get past them. So, so therefore we have to rely on the braking that the board has, which is its strength. But, a lot of good drivers out there, and majority was pretty clean for the night. So just a struggle to get past for me, but that's nothing new. So I like racing the mid-pack guys. They're pretty clean and make for great racing.
Well, mate, 13th position tonight is nothing to be done by, to be honest. I'd be happy to be 23rd, to be honest, and there was only 24 cars in the field. So mate, moving into round number 3, nice solid night tonight. You've got to be happy with that. How are you feeling going into the next round?
Yeah, look, I love the racing. That's what I'm here for. So it really doesn't really matter where we race. It's for me, it's just about the competition, and the years have been able to do a 100-meter dasher behind me. So I'm now sitting behind a sim, and I get the same buzz to race some of these guys, and some of the guys we've been racing with for years now. So like Joe and Grant Gill, they've been around for ages, so you get to understand where they're quick and when they're not. So it's always a bit of a stress to have Joe behind you, but he's good fun.
Well, mate, obviously a treasurer of the club, so do a lot in behind the scenes of the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club, mate. So not only are you a great steerer, you're great behind the club as well, and do a lot, mate. So great to see you have a good result tonight and make yourself available here in the commentary box. Just a big shout out. Anyone here on the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club streams, anyone tuning in across our channels, jump on and have a chat to Pete or anyone in the committee if you do want to be a part of this, because this racing anyone can be a part of, and we'd love to see you out there. So Pete, mate, for everything you do for the club, thank you so much. Great to see you up into P13 tonight and make yourself available for a chat.
Yeah, thanks, Aidan. No, look, the club has many great people, so and they do all the heavy lifting, which is awesome. So, but yeah, the door's open, so come in. We love the good races, but we also love the assistance behind the scenes. So. Thanks. I'll hand it back over to you.
No worries, mate. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Pete Matson, 13th tonight, making himself available before we get the podium getters into the broadcast booth. Before we do that, we've got a couple of other people in here at the moment. I just want to have a chat to them. Nick Photiotis, mate, have you got a copy?
Good evening.
Good evening, mate. Good race from you. Obviously down 2 positions on your starting position tonight, but some great racing. And if you go back and watch the broadcast, you definitely didn't have it your own way. You had a lot of pressure, but good job to come home P9.
Look, Bailey Ladder's car was all right, but the driver driving it had a bit of an anchor attached to it, so down I went. A couple of things that didn't go my way is I didn't clear my tyres for the pit stop, so I didn't even notice till it started changing I changed the left front tyre, and I realised I didn't want that, so it cost me a lot of time in the pits. Still got a top 10, so to walk away with that, I'm very pleased, considering the field. I think we're missing some of the top runners that we haven't seen. We saw last week. So, 9th out of that, I'm not too displeased.
Yeah, mate, definitely good job. You created some good racing here on the broadcast, and I think, Daniel, you can chime in here, mate. There was definitely some good racing, I think, between him and Josh Robertson, etc. Through the mid-pack, through the mid section of that race. It was definitely good racing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I was sorry, Nick. I just wanted to point out. Yeah, you were holding off Josh for quite a while there, coming up to the pit windows. I was wondering. I didn't know who was gonna. Me and Aidan were talking. We weren't sure who was gonna come into the pits first. I thought that Josh was just gonna follow you. Figured he was just gonna stick behind, try and press you, and then when you came in, he came in. But he actually decided to go a lap or two earlier. And it's unfortunate to hear that you had a hiccup there, which I'm sure everybody who does iRacing gets hit by as well, which is when the tires don't automatically turn on and you don't clear them off. So yeah, you've come in thinking you're only going to get fuel, and then you're like, why is my car on the jacks?
Yeah, exactly. I just had no pace to stay with. I was generally around where Dale Sharp and Paul Wood were. Paul came back to me after I believe he spun, and Dale jetted off down the road. No mistakes. Congratulations to him. But yeah, let's go to the next one.
Well, Nick, great job tonight, mate. It was great to call. Seriously, some great racing, mate. And that battle for the edge of the top 10 was some of the great racing, or best racing I've seen. It was really good with the strategy. So big shout out to you, mate. Great racing.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries. There we go, ladies. Ladies and gentlemen, not just ladies. There you go. Look at me. I've thrown people under the bus all night, and now I'm just calling all the drivers ladies. So there we go. But there we go. It was none other than Nick Bodiatis in 9th position. Before we get across to the place getters again, Joe, you're up here. Race control from GSRC, mate. Joe Trucker Baldwin up in the 14th position. Down one on the 13th starting position. I tell you what, that was the night that you did not want to have. You had more hits than Elvis.
I did, yeah. Look, it was quite frustrating. I probably missed my qualifying a little bit. I had more in it. I should have been up just inside the top 10 and just missed the last lap. Trying too hard. I think I got the tyres hot. So, yeah, you read what you say, right? If you don't qualify properly, you sort of put yourself in a bad position. But unfortunately, Josh ran off at turn 1. I think he was dealing with a bad internet connection. I don't know whether he was. He just went off at turn 1, and there was no overlap on the rejoin, but I just didn't know where he was going to come in, and I sort of had to, as you see there, I just had to cart wide, and that put me back. And I think one of the just got caught up with a dive bomb later on that speared me off, and was just fight back from there. I was actually surprised to get back up to 14th, which was probably a good result for the Stealth Bailey Lattice car, but it's probably a little bit of what could have been, especially after last week. I was nowhere. I think I qualified last and finished one spot out of the points. So it's a little bit of redemption to have somewhat a level of pace, but a lot of the big runners aren't here tonight. They're probably up at Bathurst having a look this weekend.
Well, regardless of that, mate, you obviously had some pace and were 13th in qualifying, and you said you had a little bit left to give as well, and you sort of found yourself in two awkward positions during the night and still get yourself up into 14th, mate. So well done with that. But of course, a big part of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club in race control as well. So not only are you good behind the scenes, you go well behind the wheel as well, mate. So before I get to first and second, Gary is not in here at the moment. I'll give you a chance. Just a little bit of a shout out to everyone, mate, that makes this happen and allows us all to go racing in the GSRC.
Yeah, look, we've got a really big team behind us with the race control at the moment, which it's fantastic. Like it really helps out. Josh Wino, he's stepped right up within the club on a committee level and on a race control level as well. And I'm just trying to find my list of guys. Actually, I'm hopeless with names, so I'm terrible. You know, you got. Like, there's Lee Williamson and Hendo. They're probably the two main guys in the race control. So if anybody wants to get involved, by all means, reach out to myself and probably Lee. He's also the vice president at the moment. Josh Wino's another guy. I'm going to forget some names because I can't put my hands on the list at the moment, and I apologise. I'm terrible with names at the best of times, but. Yeah, we've got a strong team at the moment. I think every race has got a race controller in it, which is I think the first for the club at the moment. Which is that's a pretty cool deal, I think. So hopefully we'll get some of the racing cleaned up Yeah, and move forward as a club and get more members in. You know, you have plenty of racing, people are more likely to want to come and join in.
Yeah, no worries, mate. It's definitely the best club I've ever been a part of, and obviously I'm a committee member now as well. So, and have the pleasure of hearing my dulcet tones, mate, whether that's a pleasure or not. But we'll let the viewers sort that out. But Joe, good job tonight, mate, and we'll jump across to the podium before we wrap up this broadcast. But Jake Jackson, mate, that brings us to you. Second place tonight. It was a 1-9 lockout, mate. We come across from the Radicals where we saw a 1-9, not lockout, but 1-9 podium, and you have backed it up with a 1-2 here in the GT4s.
Yeah, pretty good result from us. We're starting to turn things around, and we're starting to get really good results. We're pretty pleased with our results. I'm pretty happy.
What is it, mate? What's the defining factor? You're in the Port, you're in the GT4s. What are you doing different? I've done a lot of laps around you. A lot of people have. We're all in the same community. You seem like you've taken the team to the next level with you guys. Sam, you're obviously next level. What is it? What is the magic potion, mate?
Yeah, Sammy's next level for sure. But I don't know. It's just we got a good bunch of boys, and we pretty much just enjoy each other's company, and it makes it that much enjoyable, and just keep getting better. Really, every time we jump on, keep pushing each other every night.
Well, Daniel, jump across to you, mate, 'cause I feel like I've been talking too much. Let you just ask Jake, a little bit about the strategy. We did see early in the race, he did mention we thought that Sam was just trying to push him up there to try and nullingate that sort of pit strategy for the guys behind. And just have a chat to him about your thoughts and how that part of the race went.
Yeah, no worries. No, my initial thought was, Jake, when you and Sam had rocketed off the start, was that you were hanging slightly back in order to allow Sam to get more of a gap at the front, maybe trying to play like a blocking strategy to the car behind. But then that was immediately basically disproven when you set the fastest lap on that lap. So I was like, okay, maybe that's not what's happening. Then my thought turned to maybe, was Sam putting himself in a position that allowed you to get enough of a tow to allow both of you to just absolutely break away? Or am I looking too much into this and it was just Sam was going as fast as possible, you were going as fast as possible, and that's the end of it?
I think Sam was going as quick as he could. I was just lucky enough I was in his slipstream. And then the first couple of laps, I was really struggling on cold tyres, and I think Hammond was behind me. He had a couple of little snips at me, and then once my temps came up, I was comfortable enough to stay with Sam in his slipstream. I was trying to save fuel behind him and not telling him, but it didn't really work out at the end because I made a couple little mistakes towards the end of my stint. But yeah, I was just trying not to make any mistakes behind Sam, because if I stayed in his slipstream, I was going to be pretty set in P2.
Yeah, no, that's exactly that, right? Your teammates, you might as well work together. I'll cut across to you, Sam, just on that point. Was that a thought in your mind at all? Was sort of positioning yourself to allow Jake to take advantage of your tow? Or is he right? You were just like, look, I'm going as fast as possible. If you're there, you're there. If you're not, you're not.
Yeah, we, even though we're teammates, we don't really come up with too many race strategies going into races. I think, you know, if you do that, you sort of set yourselves up to fail almost. You put a plan together and it can be out the window, turn one, lap one. So
yeah,
we just sort of always just play it by ear and just see how the cards fall. And I think that the idea for us early on was just the Porsche can take a couple of laps just for those tyres to warm up, so we didn't want to push too hard too early. And then sort of had in the back of my mind that I did want to keep Jake in my slipstream and see if we could pull away from the guys behind. But I ended up having to just push flat out, because if I didn't, he was going to overtake me. So he had great pace.
See, it's always great to hear. It's like, just they're teammates, but the racing's there. It's harsh, but it's fair.
Yeah, definitely. It was the same last week. when I was behind Jordan, I was doing the same thing that Jake was doing, just trying to do a little bit of sneaky fuel saving and see if I could jump him in the pits, but it didn't work out that way last week. So, but as Jake said, great group of guys. Absolutely love racing with them every week in GSRC. It's awesome.
Well, Sam, I'm going to jump in, mate. Denchi wasn't in tonight. That's a nice little leapfrog in championship points, so you've got to be happy with that one.
Yeah, a few of the big boys were missing in action tonight, so yeah, it was pretty important that we did take advantage of that and fill our boots. See our teammate Jordy Malcolm's up there in Bathurst, and I think a few of the other ones are up there with him. So yeah, Matty Dench, Sam Chapman, Jared Knight, Trent Lavis, so a lot of those guys are in other manufacturers as well, so it looked like it would be Porsche friendly with dominant night. But yeah, you take out those guys, Denchi in the Merc, Jared Knight in the Merc, Lavis in the Aston, Jordan in the Macca. I'm sure if they were there, it would have been a lot tougher for us.
Oh, mate, it was still a good race nonetheless, and you did a great job being able to go 1-9, 1-2, so don't take anything away from that. But, mate, I'll just jump back to Jake. Jake, mate, P number 2, come away with a 1-9, 1-2, mate. I'll give you the opportunity here on the GSR streams. A big shout out to all the sponsors. I know you're both going to say the same thing, so we're probably better off doing that both connectively, but mate, big shout out to everyone that made it available. You've had, or made it possible rather, you've had a great start to the season, 2 rounds in. Hopefully we see that continue to progress as we go in, but mate, your chance to shout out to everyone that makes it possible.
Yeah, you're correct. I think we're going to say the same things. Everyone in the team, in the purple cars, MX Wraps Racing 19, that's basically who we like to thank and who we enjoy racing with. And everyone in GSRC, we couldn't have this on with everyone coming in every night. So I love the competition, and that's what keeps giving us the opportunities to come back.
No worries at all, mate. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's Jake Jackson from 1-9, your second place getter here for round number 2 of the GT4s from Phillip Island. As we see him get really loose there on the exit in the replay. Sam, of course, you're going to have the same people to thank, but of course we can give you the opportunity as well, mate, as the race winner tonight. Shout out to anyone that's made this possible.
Yeah, ditto. Jake summed it up pretty well there, so shout out to our major sponsor MX Wraps and all the guys at 1-9. Thanks to the major sponsors of the GT4s, Orbic Australia, and everyone in broadcast land and race control. Really appreciate everything you do for the club. Thank you.
No worries at all, mate. It's more than our pleasure. But there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There's your top 2. Unfortunately, we didn't get to talk to Gary Cousins tonight, your 3rd position for round number 2 of the GT4s here at Phillip Island. But it was Sam Muir and Jake Jackson taking out your 1-9 lockout, 1 and 2 here for round number 2 of the GT4s at Phillip Island on your GSR streams. It was Gary Cousins, Dale Sharp and Mikey Hammertime Hammond rounding out your 5. But Daniel, mate, we went from the Radicals. We had an amazing night there around Long Beach, and then we've come into a 40-minute race here in the GT4s at Phillip Island. It hasn't disappointed. What a night in the broadcast booth. How good was this?
Yeah, no, it was a fantastic showing from everyone involved. A great race there at Long Beach and a great race here at Phillip Island. Those both circuits that will always deliver no matter what the car, and tonight was no different. So again, big thank you to all the drivers out there showing us their talent. A big thank you to everyone in race control, and of course, big thank you to all the sponsors who do the work in the background to allow us to go racing. And for those of you who want to get any merch to support the club, you can go on to the site on your screen, merch.GSRC.inc or gsrcmerch.myshopify.com. And for any more information on the club, you can go to race.tgsrci.com.
And a big shout out, like you said, to sponsors, Daniel. I'll just give them one more shout out before we close up this broadcast. Of course, Orbic being the major sponsor, Player One Sim Gear, as you can see on your screen. Go on to player1simgear.com.au. Lobesy Racing, a big supporter of the GSRC League. Thank you to Lobesy Racing. Waste Options, jump onto them for all your waste option needs. and support the people that support us here on the GSRC. Orbic, the major sponsor of the GT4s, of course, jump on and support them as well. Login Systems, managed IT business solutions, anything you need IT, jump on to Login Systems and support the people that support us. M-Wave, jump onto them as well. And if you're looking for any of the links to this, you can find it all through our Discords, or have a Google search and you can find all the links to support our sponsors. Flash Graphics, a big shout out to you, of course, to make this possible as well. But we're rounding out what was round number 2 of the GT4s here from Phillip Island on the GSRC streams. And Daniel, thank you so much for a good night, mate. I can't wait for next Wednesday. Your 1, 2 and 3 tonight was Sam Muir, Jake Jackson with a 1-9 lockout, Gary Cousins in P3. But mate, from you, myself and everyone from the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club, thank you for joining us on our streams, and we can't wait to bring you all the action next Wednesday night.